You are listening to Cranestorming, a podcast where we deep dive into topics ranging from games to art to culture. Be a part of the conversation. Please be respectful to our host, panel, and guests. Again, welcome to Cranestorming.
I just wanted to test that out. Can you guys hear me? Am I still good? Can you guys hear me? Thanks for the host, Proto Man. How are you guys? The only celebrity here is you. Is it now? But yeah, no, I'm good. I'm doing really good. Cool looking layout. Well, this is sort of me ruminating in my own thoughts, sort of setup. It's nice, right? It's nice. I'm doing fine, Samar guy. I hope all of the lines that I sent you are good. I was doing like a lot of voice acting today. I know that I might have like a backlog of all the people that I need lines to, and I think I was able to empty out a big chunk of that. So I was voice acting all day, and I'm tired, and I want to just I have some thoughts, and I was trying to write content for the channel, and I don't know, I'm just a little lost right now. I think it might be good for me to just hang out and chill.
Notice me!
Oh, Morgana's here. Yes. How are you? How are you? I was looking forward to you being here. Just wanted to make sure that you're all good. Just trying to make sure that you're all good. Oh, you had to talk with Dustin today. Oh, how was that? How was all that? Realms? What is Realms? Thoughts? What does that taste like? I don't know. That's my other job. I'm like an incubus. Kidding. Gonna listen to them again later after editing other stuff. Yeah, great. He sent me a sound clip of his new job. Wow, really? Well, that's cool. Yeah, I know. You guys talk a lot, especially on Facebook, because I have both of you as friends, and we're in a lot of the same stuff. So it's definitely good to see that. Won't be staying here that long because I have to finish this university stuff. Might be able to return. No problem, no problem. Again, majority of the time I expect nobody. Don't let the outfit fool you. It's just in the event that people wander in. At least I'm okay. I look somewhat presentable. Although today I'm a little disheveled, as you can see from the tie. Yeah, and I'm not gonna necessarily try to be too loud. I do have like some thoughts that I really do want to like iron out. And yeah. Oh, and we have Haraxman on. Harax, you there, bro?
Hey.
Oh, I completely messed that up. Here, let me fix that one more time. Boom. There we go. You got good old Besaid behind you.
Hey, it's me. I am also a A925 card.
Yes,
We have the same stats.
of course. How are y'all doing though? Have any of you like watched Arcane? Because we had a watch party. Was it the moment it dropped? Was it midnight on last time on Friday? So if you weren't here, then that's essentially what we did. But that was fun. I think you guys should join us next time. It's really fun. No, but I've seen Jaws yesterday for the first time. Really? Well, I mean, I feel like that's a lot more shocking in the past, but it's a lot. It's actually depending on how old you are, Hash. I kind of don't blame you. It's sort of Jaws is sort of a relic at this point. Yo, what's up, Yazora? You're 19. Okay, yeah, so I don't blame you for not knowing Jaws at all.
Why are we like a weaker Irvine card? Irvine.
Irvine card.
Yeah, because
You-
Irvine is an A926.
Uh-huh.
So we're weaker than Irvine.
Yeah. Well, Morgana, Jaws is sort of a relic, even for us, even for like people in my age bracket, and like expect the generation after us to be like, what the hell is that? Like that's ancient at that point. Especially, and I think that things are specifically ancient for the older generation because their pop culture cycles much faster than ours. 1975, yep. But it should always be down as like the classics. A lot of people, in the Final Fantasy community, a lot of people talk about Jaws because that's essentially the thing that Sephiroth was akin to. Where especially in the original game, his participation in Midgar or his exposure in Midgar is that of Jaws, where Jaws is not really seen or anything like that. The pirate, hey, what's up, pirate? I heard that you said that you popped a blood vessel in a la Crane fashion. Is what happened there, dude? Honestly, that's a pretty good comparison. Well, Hash, I mean, the one thing that is specifically special about Jaws is that the whole movie was supposed to be about obviously a shark attack, but they had intended they actually got a mechanical shark. They actually spent money on the mechanical shark, but the problem was the animatronic shark did not work. So when that happened, they essentially like Steven Spielberg, I believe, said, "Well, we still have the show. Sort of has to move on," and so they did that. And he made it so that the Jaws was suggested, like you feel his presence even though there was no actual shark. Like, I think the all their money that was spent in the animatronic shark they used in the last scene. So that was it.
Crane.
Mm.
Luke wants to know, should he still join?
Yeah, you can absolutely join.
Okay.
You can absolutely join.
Second thing, if you were a card in Triple Triad, what would you refine into?
Me?
Yes.
I would probably, I don't know, chat. What what would I refine into? In FF8 specifically, or just in Final Fantasy?
No, just in Final Fantasy in general. What do you got?
I don't know. I did not know. I do not know. I was not prepared for this at all. But I think I would like to be refined as just purely Gil. Because I don't think
It's
that's
just all money.
just Gil. Yeah, I'm just gonna give you all that cash. That's all I would do. That's it. I know it's not that has not happened, but yeah. Oh, we got the Lukester here. Oh, and he's in a suit too. You might have to adjust yourself a little bit, so because of the card.
Oh, I'm a little. Let's see.
There we go. There we go. I'm gonna.
Apologies. Many apologies for my tardiness.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, I was a 20-minute appointment at the bank turned into 2 hours, and I had no way to contact my fellow hosts here. So 1,000 apologies, everyone.
Oh, that's okay. That's usually very that's common, especially when you're robbing banks. Like you think you're gonna be in and out, and then but then things happen.
Right.
Coppers
Yeah.
show up, and
Mm-hmm.
and then you're there. You're like, So I'm glad that your hostage situation actually worked out for you. You were able to get home.
Yeah.
That's all it is to that.
Very true. Very true.
I'm looking at Harax right now. Okay, there he is. Yep. Okay, cool. Luke is a tuft of Phoenix down times 10. We're talking about Harax asked this kind of cool question. If we were a triple triad card and we got refined, what would we turn into?
Oh.
Or what would you like to be turned into? I know I want you to turn into the Excalibur for many reasons. And by the way,
Fair.
Kuroi, yo, what's up, man? Yeah, thank you. Oh, you like the layout? Ah, yeah. I think it's kind of cute, right? It's kind of cute. I've never seen this before.
Fine.
Wait, okay, go on with that, and then I'll ask you guys a question. Go on.
I think I would refine into a functional Discord.
A functional.
But you'd lose
Functional
my
Discord.
card, so
Yeah. And then Luke would be like the Excalibur.
Well, I was Excalibur. I'll take that. I'll definitely take that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would I also have been a really good card or a really shitty card that only turns into the Excalibur?
I think it'd be
Am,
funnier.
am I?
I think it'd be funnier if you were a
Yeah.
really shitty card, and then you turn into the
Uh-huh.
Excalibur. That's what I wish.
Okay, I'm down for that. I'm down for that.
do you need like
Ninja
50
Girl,
Lukes?
what's up? Welcome to the stream.
50 Lukes turn into one Excalibur.
Oh wow, you have to get 50 of you, Luke.
Well, meh. It's a shame there's only one of me, baby.
You got one from.
You.
Yeah. So I hope you're liking the layout. This is what it will usually be especially if it's just me. But I am good.
Mhm.
I am good. How are you, Ninja Girl? We're here chilling and we're going to be like theory crafting and whatnot. Although I sort of set that here because you can't just go on Twitch and just put nothing. I could have just put talk shows or just chilling or whatever. But I do want to talk about Arcane and Alchemic. If you're still here, Alchemic is caught up, so that would be very interesting to hear. Alchemic.
As am I. I did, despite all my banking troubles today, I did catch up with Arcane, so I am current.
Oh, you're like, what's
Which I
this?
feel is very.
Oh, that's the happy birthday. For some reason, it's a bit broken.
Happy birthday!
It's a bit broken. I think I can fix it
Oh,
with things that are going on, but
yeah. How are you all doing tonight, Chad? How are you all doing? I would be Hell House. I enjoy fighting Hell House. I like that it became a Boston remake, and I played through the game again recently, and I still enjoy the Hell House fight.
Are we comparing ourselves to monsters in Final Fantasy now?
yeah.
Well, Proto Man called me Hell House. I'm okay with that.
Oof.
Yeet.
Yeet.
I mean, it's clear Luke's just Gilgamesh.
Oh well.
Master
It's
Rain!
true.
Gilgamesh.
Time to sing!
Time
It's
to sing.
true.
Who asked
I
to
tried.
sing? Wait, who asked for that?
If I
gonna
was
be
a boss in
blitzball
Final
when I
Fantasy,
grow
I'd be
up.
the first fight with Baku.
Yo, what? Oh, and Rainbow Mike Gaming Mercedes is here. Yo, what's up,
Wait,
girl?
Hi, Mercedes.
Where he like
How's
trips
everyone
over
Oh, you're the one who
himself.
asked me to sing. Oh, what did you want me
Mhm.
to sing? Can I just pick something? I don't know. Man, I actually haven't sang on stream for like months now, huh?
It's been a hot minute.
Okay, all right, let's see. Okay, you guys can keep talking while I look for something to actually sing.
Sure.
Why not sing
So,
sing one of those new Bruno Mars Anderson Paak Silk Sonic songs?
Oh, that's gonna be a little difficult because these songs are, in fact, hard. Maybe I could maybe.
Morgana says
that.
has to be in Squall's voice. Maybe a little bit of Squall's song then.
Oh, patiently. Should I do that? I don't know if I'm in Squall's voice. Well,
I mean,
Morgana's always gonna ask me
yeah.
to do the one in Squall's voice or something, or let's get that DMCA. I know, right? It's a good thing that I'm not really gonna keep the VOD. Although karaoke is acceptable in DMCA, they actually do allow that. So yeah. Boom. Oh, Bomez, you
Sometimes.
back, bro? Yeah, you ran
Well,
into a really
congrats.
bad time. Somebody redeemed that I sing, so you're gonna have to put up with that because I always please my fans. Even if it means I hurt them and embarrass myself in the process, I will always try to follow these redeems. But yeah, Luke, tell me what you thought about like Arcane. Like nothing spoilery because Shadowleaf is still here because we'll
Nothing
get to that.
spoilery.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
But, yeah, but tell us what you thought.
We're
bro.
saving that. We're saving that for the full crane freeze.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, well, I did want to
Um,
talk about some theory crafting already, but
Okay.
but just tell us your thoughts on it and stuff. Like, what did you think of Act 2?
Act 2. Let's see. Without getting too spoilery, I think a lot of the stuff that we predicted, sort of like story flow wise, definitely came to pass. aside from it was just going to drastically shift away from Vi and Jinx and the Piltover people. That didn't. It was still very much a Piltover Zon story, and it is not done yet. Sure. We did get one thing I was pleasantly surprised by was that Caitlyn got a lot more screen time. I don't think that's too much of a spoiler, because she was very minimal in the first 3 episodes. And now she becomes far more involved, especially with an older Vi, which is to be expected, because if you know the game's lore, you know that they are partners. They are partners on the
Time
force
to hydrate.
of Piltover security. So it makes sense that their relationship is starting to develop. We get to see, along with because it is a time skip of a few years, and we get to see how things have progressed with Silco, with Jace and Victor and the Council, and I think that all it seems to be progressing at a very enjoyable and logical rate. Like, there hasn't really been any like strong curveballs, but if there's going to be anything really, really strange, it's probably going to be for the last 3 episodes of this season, I imagine. Do you have anything along those lines there, Harax? We can't switch to you at the minute, but anything to say?
No, I think you pretty much got it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it was good though. So good.
Oh, we can switch. Look at that.
How'd you switch?
Magic.
How did you do it? How did you do it?
My mind powers, my telekinesis,
Mime powers.
my mind powers. Yeah. Oh, there he is. There's my mind power. Let's see. Now that we've gone 3 more episodes in, do you have like most favorite and least favorite character in the series so far, based off of just what we've seen? Because I know you're not super familiar with League, so knowing who you're gravitating towards would be interesting.
Well, yeah. See, I went into this
And you,
not expecting to see any character I played,
mm-hmm.
and I really enjoyed seeing Singed, even as just a little
fair.
character.
Bomez has a fair point. The Poro, I feel, did get more screen time in these next 3 episodes, and I also enjoyed the Poro.
Okay, my favorite character. I got it. My favorite character so far in these episodes is Victor. I went into this show with absolutely zero knowledge about Victor.
Mm-hmm.
And I have grown to really, really like Victor as a character.
He's really compelling. I actually played quite a bit of Victor back in the day, before he got a rework. Back when people complained that he was too complicated and he was too skill shot based, I actually really enjoyed Victor. When you had to aim his 3rd arm ability, and all his lasers and things like that. So, like, I feel like he's very, very sympathetic. To this point, we'll see what happens in the last 3 episodes. But I am interested to see, like, these current 3 episodes definitely built up to where that the eventual diverging of Jace and Victor is going to be, and that's not a spoiler because we know that's going to happen. Oh, Pirate, thank you for hosting the stream, my friend. Thank you so much. But now we're really seeing, like, it's going to go down. It's going to go down these last 3 episodes, and I'm very excited to see them not be friends anymore. Because them being friends has actually been pulled off very, very well. I definitely believe in their friendship, and it's going to break down.
I want to pick a least favorite character, but there's way too many characters to pick just a least favorite. So I want to pick least favorite based on actual characters from League. Right?
Okay.
The actual playable characters in League who appear in Arcane.
Okay,
And
sure.
I want to say my least favorite might be Jace.
Might be Jace.
Yeah. Jace in Arcane has not been the best character so far. Like, he's cool,
Mm.
sure, progress and all that, but he makes some questionable decisions.
Mm-hmm. And I think Arcane is, which you're right, he definitely does. I think Arcane is doing a good job in making that, like, there is no clear good guy or bad guy. Like, everything is
Mhm.
shades of gray in Arcane. And like there's more gray with certain characters, but it feels good that they're like Silco is obviously just the bad guy. Like
Okay.
there's definitely like sympathetic parts of his backstory, but he's definitely like the bad guy, and he doesn't have he has a twinge of gray, but it's mostly bad guy.
It's the
but, like-
unknown in his background that really worries me, because I'm waiting for it to
Mhm.
turn out to be that he actually got really screwed, and the reason he's evil is for a really good reason.
Yeah, like it feels like we might get something like that, which I'm okay with. I mean, good if we get some sympathetic qualities in the villain's backstory, and it makes him really, really compelling. Like, he's already very charismatic, but then if he's also compelling in the backstory, then it's like, oh, okay, I can get along with this. And I'm still kind of hoping, like, he's charismatic enough to where, down the line, I do kind of hope that they implement him into the actual game. I think that would be fun. He hasn't really showed much combat prowess. Like, he's definitely a mental character, but that's not. I don't think that's too much of a hurdle. Like, they could figure something out.
Yeah, that's never
Oh.
stopped them before. Looks
Oh,
at
I'm back.
Singed.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just had
welcome
to
back.
like
That's
move
okay.
and come. I accidentally left the song playing, so I hope that wasn't like too much. Did you guys hear the song playing in the background or no?
Oh no, I would have had the
Oh no,
stream
the
muted,
stream.
so
I think
don't
the
know.
stream did. Okay, I hope it wasn't too loud. Like because you said Silk Sonic, and I'm just like, oh. But then I just because I just went to the El Baño, but I did hear you guys because I had the headphones the whole time. I did hear you guys say something about you don't like Jace. I think
Yes.
that I think that just because you don't like a character doesn't necessarily mean that the character is bad. Because I think Jace here is written really well.
No,
Like-
no, no. I don't think Jace is bad. I just
Yeah,
don't
it's-
think I enjoy.
like
Jace,
you enjoy,
who
yeah,
Jace
exactly.
is.
I don't think Jace is meant to be enjoyed. Like especially in Act 2, I don't think he's meant to be enjoyed.
Mhm. No, I think we're supposed to feel very sympathetic towards Victor,
Hmm.
and maybe Chase's situation, and but yeah, definitely, like, they want us to side with Victor more because we know he's going to go down the darker path and kind of
Yeah.
get pulled more by that.
Mhm.
Whereas Jace becomes pretty much like the hero figure of Piltover.
Okay. I can. Okay. I don't have to sing the whole song. I know I made that a rule for myself, but I can sing
Mhm.
this. I just had to have the lyrics up. But yeah, so I will sing a song since Mercedes. I hope Mercedes is still here. Mercedes, are you still even here? Because if not, then I'm just gonna like run. I will not sing the song unless the person who requested it is here to listen to it. Because if not, then I mean,
They need to hold out. They can't redeem and run.
yeah, of course. That should just be my new thing. I was just like, oh, I don't want to sing. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom real quick, and then just
Everyone
disappear.
forgets.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, but when yeah, I do think that when it comes to Jace and everything, I really like his the path that they're sort of like bringing out for him. Like I really. Oh, okay. Rainbow's here.
Mhm.
Okay, fuck. Okay, I'll sing. I did not practice. Like I was voice acting today, but I was voice acting like fucking like really like harsh characters and all that stuff. So, we'll see if I can even do something like Silk Sonic. But it was brought up, and you know what? This VOD is not coming up anyways, because yeah. So I'm gonna just sing this for you. It's been a while, so just wait. Crane voice acts? No, I don't. I method act. They're just like, okay, you're gonna be playing Lelouch, and I'm like, I am Lelouch. Lelouch v Britannia. But okay, let's do this. Let's do this. I don't think has Bomis ever even heard me sing before. Hopefully he'd love to. In fact, you guys should all leave. Just kidding. All right, so
Okay, bye.
I'm gonna try to sing this song. Okay, I'm gonna try to, and the word is try. All right, so let me. Hello, 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 hello. All right, cool. Let's do this.
Hi.
Let's do this. Okay, whatever. Fuck it. Man, it sort of brings me back too, because I'm like, man, do I even really sing? Hopefully this is loud enough. I have to make sure that my lyrics are out.
What you doing? Where you at? Oh, you got plans? Don't say that. I'm sipping wine in a row. I look too good to be alone. My house clean, my pool warm. Just shaved. We should be dancing, romancing in the east wing and the west wing of this mansion. What's happening? I ain't playing no games. Every word that I say is coming straight from the heart. So if you're trying to lay in these arms, I'ma leave the door open. I'ma leave the door open, girl. That you feel the way I feel and you want me like I want you tonight, baby. Tell me that you're coming through. Ooh, so sweet, so tight. I won't bite unless you like. If you smoke, I got the haze. And if you're hungry, girl, I got fillets. Ooh, baby, don't keep me. There's so much love we could be making. I'm talking kissing, cuddling, rose petals in the bathtub. Girl, it's jumping, it's bubbling. I ain't playing no games. Every word that I say is coming straight from the heart. So if you're trying to lay in these arms, I'ma leave the door open. I'ma leave the door open, girl. That you feel the way I feel and you want me like I want you tonight, baby. Tell me that you're coming through. La, 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 la.
Okay, that's it. I think I'm good. Yeah? Is that enough? Is that enough? That's enough. I think that's enough.
Yeah.
I think we had enough of that. I don't wanna. I'm tired now. Yes, I need to turn off the reverb. I wasn't looking at chat at all because I had to read the lyrics because I didn't memorize the whole thing. But yeah, oh,
So
thank you.
I heard it without reverb and without background music, and it still sounded
Thank you
good.
so much for subscribing.
Oh, War Dog subscribe.
Nailed it, I know. Thank you. Moving on.
my singing summoned the War Dog. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
that
Thank
is
you
the
very much,
sound.
Warda.
That is the sound that I play going to war. But yes, thank you so much, War Dog. The benefactor. That's what it is. Okay, so Mercedes, I hope you like that. I hope you enjoy that. And yes, Pirate, yes, we are moving on. So, anyways, I know that I have like a couple of theories, like really like sort of. I wouldn't call them far-fetched, but I do have like a couple of theories that I really wanted to run with. I was looking at a lot. I was looking at a lot of the content creators for League of Legends, and I don't really consider myself a League of Legends content creator. I'm more of a Final Fantasy content creator, but Arcane is just so fucking good, ain't that right, boys? It's just it doesn't.
Yes, yes,
It
yes.
just, it doesn't. It
Yes,
doesn't.
yes, quite. Yes.
Quite indeed. Sir.
Yes.
Very.
Yeah, you guys are basically. Like,
Oh, I'm sorry. Old man voices must be the voice of Heimerdinger.
Oh.
Yes.
We're just your
I'm
yes
a
men.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Shadowleaf, I'm so surprised that you didn't. I thought you binged it. I thought you binged it. You said you were gonna binge it on Saturday. Look at you. I wanted Shadowleaf part of the conversation as well. But yeah, Mercedes, have you seen Arcane? Have you seen Arcane? I feel like we're just trying to evangelize everyone. Yes, and there's more to binge. Okay, cool. So you at least watched like 1, 2, and 3? Episodes 1, 2, and 3? Act 1? Did you watch Act 1? Because that would be like, I think that's Act 1 is honestly like enough already to like really get you going.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I tell people at least the first 3, please.
It's not gonna. I love saying that. Just like, oh, just watch the first 3, because after the first 3, it's never gonna be just the first 3. Hey,
Yeah,
Banana
that's
Penguin's here.
I actually roped in 2 of my siblings by making them just watch the first 3. And then they're like,
Mm.
"But we can continue, right?"
Mm.
And I'm like, "Nah."
So there's more, right?
Yes, I know.
There's more. I
Especially.
think personally, I think I enjoyed the first 3 more than the second 3, the second set of 3. Not
Mhm.
that I didn't enjoy the second set, but I think the first one was because I feel like this next set of 3 is actually built up to the last set of 3 more so than being its own sort of
Thank you
contained
so much for subscribing.
chunk. Like the
Aw.
first chunk was very much the.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mercedes.
so much, Mercedes.
Oh, you
Thank
a
you.
sweetheart.
Like
Damn.
the first chunk was really focused on sort of getting you invested in the characters, and now it's just kind of continuing the story. So, like, I think the 4 through 6 will hit harder with 7 through 9,
Hmm.
but like 1 to 3, I felt hit harder more than 4 through 6.
Hmm. Well,
I agree.
it's funny because
Not that, yeah.
it's funny because I see that too. Like I watch other people like TB Skyen and like Necrit and Red Mercy and whoever. I know you guys aren't familiar with this. Most of the people on my chat are people like, what, like Sleep Easy and Blitz and Soldier First Class and Peasant and Night Sky Prince. Like those are the people they are thinking about in terms of the sort of content creators. Because a lot of the people I know here are Final Fantasy people, and I am one of the Final Fantasy-est of the Final Fantasy-ests. So, not that popular, but you know, it's we'll see how that ages. I'm just kidding. I don't care. But I just want to make content that I alone will watch. But I noticed that a lot of people sort of have that sort of opinion where they think that the first 3, like they like the first 3. And again, that's one of the reasons why I dropped in when you guys said that kind of stuff, is because to me, a series a episode being likable to me has very little bearing on whether I think it's good or not. Very little bearing. Like how enjoyable a character is has very little bearing to, you know, because there are plenty of stories and there are plenty of anime and stuff. Like, for example, I think that I really enjoy like Dragon Ball Z characters, you know, but generally they're poorly written, you know. So like it's easy for me to do that. I watched Moana and I cried like a bitch in Moana, and then and after I watch it, they're just like, "Oh my god, did you like it?" I'm like, "Not really." So it's a thing, yeah. So just because something is likable doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. Just because something makes me cry doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. It depends on the criteria, on your criteria, on what we can
Yeah.
consider good.
Like a good example for me that people here might know is depending on if they play critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy 14, is that I'm not super invested into Xenos, who's the big bad at the minute. Like I don't think he's bad. He's just not my type of villain, so I'm not very invested in him. Like I'm totally willing to go kick his ass and all that stuff, but yeah, like ever since he was introduced, like I've never been too engrossed by him. I find him like just a little too simple and kind of leans a little too much into the anime tropes for me. But like I don't think he's a bad character. He's just not my type of character.
I'm absorbing every arcane reaction there is at the moment. Also saw Necrit rating episodes like 8 out of 10 was like the first and last video from him I watched. Troll who only rates it 8. I actually rated it a 10. And what's funny is that I kind of regret rating the first 3 as a 10. Well, I rate the series itself as a 10. Like the series
Mhm.
itself to me is like a 10 out of 10. And I very rarely ever rate anything that like a 10 out of 10. And
Yeah.
but I do feel like that's so fucking deserved. I think that Arcane is doing something that it will now sort of become like industry shifting. Because man,
Mhm.
I'm telling you, I watched Arcane, and then when I try to watch other anime, then everything feels like shit to me now. Like a lot of things just feel bad.
Yeah,
to me.
because it's 3D animation, but there's so much weight and emotion behind it that you don't see in a lot of 3D animation,
Mhm.
unless you're at like the high end like Disney and Pixar. This one is like, oh hey, it's looking really good. It's sounding really good. It's like it nails atmosphere, it nails music, it nails characterization, and it doesn't feel like it's cheap. And I saw some stuff on Twitter today where it's just like in typical, corporate fashion, like the animators still aren't paid very well because of course they aren't, and that still sucks.
Mhm.
But even still, they put in props to all the animation staff and all the people behind the scenes that don't get a lot of credit
Mhm.
or any at all sometimes, because maybe sometimes if they don't work on enough of that stuff, then their names are just removed from the credits, which is garbage.
Mhm.
Like, shout out to all the people that put in hours and hours of their lives into this show, because it shows. It really does. Like the effort and the quality shows.
I actually want to
So
give a. I know this might not, because a lot of people are just like, yes, all the people who really labored through it. But I really, if I could praise anybody for this, first of all, I do want to praise Riot. Like, I know that there's all of those issues, but at the same time, something like this just can't like pop out of the ether, you know. Like
yeah, exactly.
they
Exactly.
all of these ideas had to be palatable to Riot. Like Riot wanted this, and I'm glad that they
Mhm.
wanted it because now we have it. And outside of them, I do think that a lot of the credit should go to the directors, because there's so
Mhm.
many elements that are at play here. And when all of these individual elements, and remember, we're not just talking 3D elements, we're talking 3D plus 2D. Because
Yeah.
when you watch
Yeah.
the series, it's not just a bunch of 3D animators. A lot of this is hand
No,
drawn.
no, no. Yeah, especially in those last two episodes, you saw a lot of 2D elements in there as well, and it really enhanced the episodes.
Yeah,
I did
and
notice that. Yeah.
sound effects too. Like I think I mentioned this before,
Mhm.
but in this is not a spoiler, but in episodes in the second act, like episodes 4, 5, 6, um when you can kind of tell Jinx's emotional state also by the sound effects that are around. So when she's sort of
Yeah.
like really jolly and jovial and all of that stuff, like her, like everything is sort of like in a high pass filter, and then all of a sudden they like when she's kind of like spazzing out, like you hear the sounds drop in pitch.
Mhm.
Like you really feel the bass of it and all of that, and that's such a clever design. I've spoken about something like that, something similar to that when it came to what game was that?
Was
Zelda.
it Breath of the Wild?
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild.
In Breath
Yeah.
of the Wild, when it's daytime, everything is in a high pass filter. When it's nighttime, everything is in a
Mhm.
low pass filter. So you really hear everything sounds brighter, quote unquote brighter, And when it's at night, everything sounds bassier, which is really really
Mhm.
cool. And I think that Riot for Arcane does that in spades. Like they do that with almost everything. All the sound effects, everything is so intentional. And when all of these elements are coming together, you can't just not like trust me. Like as people who like I've worked on many projects, both on stage and whatever, but like we were trying to make a game and all of those things. You can put all the greatest artists in a room, but if they don't have like a director who's really marrying like all that genius together, it'll just come out to crap. That's usually what happens in my experience. Like
Yeah.
in my experience,
Absolutely.
like if you put like the best graphic designer with the best like 3D animator with the best musical composer, what's going to happen is they're all going to clash because they all have their own way, their own thoughts on like how things should be done without a director really conducting all of these elements together. It just wouldn't come out
Yeah.
the way that we saw. Like I do not believe that for a second. that, you know, it's like, oh yeah, we
100%.
just had great people. It's like, no, you had somebody who really fucking orchestrated the shit. I want to read this. Banana Penguin said one of the 2 executive producers is German. Oh yeah, Christian Linke, or Link, and he was a guest in the biggest German stream 2 days after Act 1. He said they managed to make 6 seconds per week since every frame is hand drawn and they don't really have a good way to use automated systems, machine learning it. Yeah, and this project has been like 6 years, I believe, in the making, at least, I think. And there's a lot of things to marry. It's not just we got to do this story. It's not that. It's so many elements that are even outside of Arcane itself. Elements outside of Arcane. Like they had to make sure that they made the proper retcons and they made the proper adjustments to lore or lore considerations. Yeah. They had to make sure that those things don't, you know, like it's like a weird game of telephone where Runeterra might get something right, and then, you know, League might get something wrong, and one of their trailers might get something wrong, and like there's a big like confluence of all of these elements together, and to make something this good. Because remember, Arcane, the reason why I think Arcane is a 10 out of 10, many reasons, but another reason why is that it's not just the elements within Arcane, but it's the elements without Arcane, like outside of Arcane, that is working so fucking well. Like there's so many things they have to, like, I know I'm driving this point a little too hard, but do you boys know what I'm saying? Like, do you see what I'm like trying to get at with this?
Yeah, I mean, like the easy comparison piece is Blizzard, where these things aren't all combined into one sort of central product, where it's like, you know, they have their books that they keep pushing back because, well, probably because of COVID reasons, or because all their other stuff is getting pushed back. But like, it never feels very cohesive. Like the books are separate from the game, which is separate from like the movie that came out, like the remake of Warcraft 3. Like everything feels so disconnected, and it doesn't feel like it's trying to make everything one big better whole. Whereas Arcane is very much doing that, or like the KDA music videos and all the other stuff that Riot's doing, where they're like, all right, so we're going to make, you know, they're going to make the turn-based RPG, which goes into the lore. They have the show that builds upon the lore and enhances it and shifts things around to where everything feels more connected tissue rather than just isolated character bios that were made 7 years apart, 8 years apart, 4 years apart, things like that. It's making it a more cohesive whole. And I always enjoy really that type of storytelling that where it feels like there's like someone on the outside kind of being like, why isn't this and this connected? This obviously should be connected, but they aren't. And Arcane feels like they're doing that.
Final Fantasy 7, please take some notes. Please take some notes.
Yes.
Please take notes.
Like they have a little bits of that in Remake, but they still feel very isolated. Like I enjoy that like Deep Ground's getting integrated more into the stuff like that. Like the compilation content. Like the Kunsel name drop I thought was very well done. Like, you know, where it's like it just gives little hints. It's like, oh yeah, Crisis Core happened. Oh yeah, Dirge of Cerberus, like the beginnings of that is starting to happen. So like bits and pieces of that I enjoy where it becomes a more cohesive whole. But like Remake is still kind of like part one is still not everyone, but everyone's kind of like, well, it's hard to say how good part one is until we see part two. And that's kind of a big detriment to Remake. Is like, well, their tricks in the air, you know, they jumped off, they started doing their routine, and we still don't know how they're going to land it. And part two may still not even be the full landing. Like it may just be more a continuation of the routine. So it's like,
it's I don't know. Like again, seeing how Riot is doing this, or seeing how Arcane is really like coming up, and like it's what I said earlier, like sort of on the top of this, was that it's kind of it sucks because like I can't unknow it anymore. Like I can't unknow that this level of quality is attainable. So now, like when I see everything else, like everything just, it's very uncharitable. I understand, but it's kind of like, why couldn't you do this? Kind of a situation.
No, exactly. I agree. Why couldn't you do this?
Yeah,
I completely agree.
I see Harax like nodding in.
No, you just yeah, you're making a point, but it is a funny point. It's like, God, damn it! Now I know something can be this good. How can anything
Why
else
can't
compare?
everything? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why can't everything be this good? Why does everything else have to be shitty?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in the same way. It's like I feel like the Justice League movie hurt more because Avengers was so successful. So,
Uh huh.
and I feel
Yeah.
that. I feel that. And obviously it doesn't. It hurts even more that the director for Justice League was the director for the first Avengers movie, at least. And but there's like, okay, so there's so
Bits
many
and pieces. Yeah.
there's so
Yeah.
many things that needs to be tackled when it comes to Arcane, and a few of those things are there are noticeable retcons. So you did mention Singed, and you know this is not really a spoiler because this has been his lore for like forever. And it's not even something that is directly tackled with Arcane, but you know, like in his lore, Warwick is the person who's supposed to have gashed his face. That's the reason why he wears the mask. But
Mm-hmm.
that it's just, you know, like they make little retcons like that. But I did want to bring up that although a lot of people, even in the content creator space, a lot of them were just like, oh my god, the Act 1 was outside of the fact that they liked it better, they do rate it higher. And for me, I actually don't believe that. Like, I think that if you look at everything, I think that Act 2 is more masterfully done for many, many reasons, right? And it's because in Act 1, it felt like when you're looking at the lore and you're looking at the lighting and you're looking at all the different elements, you feel like you can go really deep. But with Act 2, it's even more so. Like, even more. Like, man, I cannot stress to you the kind of framing and the kind of, like, really the kind of stuff that they're showing. And I actually have Arcane up right now. I'm not going to play it. I just want to show, like, screenshots and stuff because that's actually allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So Shadowleaf, yeah, if you know, I think are we okay to sort of move into spoiler territory? Because I really kind of do want to talk about like, Yozora watched it with us, I remember. Yeah, Banana Penguin is absolutely correct when it comes to this. It's like, he's absolutely correct. Like, it's not just that. Remember the problem that I had with Dissidia NT in terms of how they marketed and were scheduling the release of certain characters, and they weren't lining them up.
Oh, so much.
They were lining them up with like potential advertising and shit. The one time they did it, literally the only time they did it was Tifa, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Riot is absolutely not making that mistake.
Did she even get like a remake outfit?
No,
in
she
Dissidia NT?
She didn't get a remake outfit.
That's
However, they did release her the same time remake Tifa was released in a trailer. A few days later, they dropped the Tifa reveal for Dissidia. But what I'm saying is that in Arcane, they're not making that mistake. They're really hammering it through. Hammering it through. You guys will get You guys will get that. But yeah, okay. So, are we getting some Vi face expressions? Her talk with Milo in episode 1 still makes me laugh just thinking about it. Okay, so I have a really hot take, but I really think I'm onto something, just in terms of that topic. But before that, I want to show you, like, really, like, something really, really, really cool. I might actually just show the video and then just delete the VOD. Okay, I'm not gonna play it with music, but let's see. Let me see if I can bring up the episodes. Was it? I think it was the start of episode 6, maybe. I think that was the start of it. I just need to make sure. I just need to see it. Oh yeah. Okay. So, we're gonna watch this a little bit. It's going to be a yes. There we go. Okay. Cool. The video is flipped, by the way, and I'm not going to show you any sound. So that's little Victor, right? And he's doing his he's cranking that little machine. Now, I want you to pay attention to something really funny that a lot of people didn't realize. This lady right here, this girl right here, who's like looking, they're having this little moment, right? You guys are sort of catching up with stream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I think I just caught on to what you're about to say.
Yeah. So you look at this moment. This little girl, right? This dark-skinned little girl well, she's not that dark skin. She's more like an olive kind of a dark skin, is looking at young Victor. And look, the thing behind her, that's Piltover, right? It's Piltover architecture. She gets called. Her name, somebody calls her name, and her name is called, her name is Sky. Do you guys remember who this is?
She is the assistant
Yes.
in the
She is Jace's,
within,
she is Jace
Jace's
and
assistant.
Victor's assistant. Yeah, her name is Sky.
Now-
her name is Sky Young. That is her whole name, and she is, in fact, the assistant, and she's also the one.
Now-
She's also the one who's romantically inclined to Victor.
to Victor.
Yeah.
Now there's something else I noticed. What's the? It was it like fireflies, but like the
Firelights.
the gang.
Yeah.
Firelights. So I noticed in like the big let me hang on. Where's my position? I think I need to go this way. There we go. Okay. So oh, I've gone too far. Okay. The big sort of like finale climactic fight at the end of episode 6. I noticed there was one firelight
That look like Twitch.
that well no well
Okay.
yes but there was one character at the end that had their hair in a bun
Mhm.
much like she has hers, so I'm thinking that she's actually also a firelight
That's possible too. That is possible. You know, it's but
because she's the only character we've seen with that hairstyle, and it was very distinct in her
Distinct.
silhouette that she had that character had a hair bun, like rocking that hair bun. So I'm thinking I think she's also a firelight.
that would be kind of cool if that were sort of the case, because she's like somebody from Piltover, but at the same time, if you notice, like she plays in Zon, so like when she was younger, so obviously, you know, and I think, you know, her liking Victor is also sort of another allusion to that, like it's something that sort of points to that. But I want you to notice, I'm going to play this scene, and I'm going to narrate to you what is happening, right? So, with this scene right here, you know, she shows interest in him, and but the thing is, he's sort of tinkering with his technology. All of this is a metaphor, by the way. Watch. It's actually a precursor of what happens. Now, he creates this machine. He creates the boat, and then the boat is moving, right? His technology, his creation is moving, and he's following along with it, right? And then look what happens. They show that little moth again, and he's while he's moving, because of his condition, because of his health, he cannot keep up with it. He cannot keep up with his own creations. Do you see that? Do you see the analogy
Yes.
of that? Right? He can't keep up with his own creations. Now, where does the creation go? Where does his creation go? It leads him where?
Into the darkness.
Into the darkness. Him trying to chase after his own brilliance, his own genius, takes him to a dark place, right? It takes him all the way there. Now, big spoiler, guys, this is actually what happens in the story. It is precisely what happens in the story itself. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Victor is, oh yeah, you know, I have this machine. Oh yeah, you know, there's these people around, all of that stuff. But what's more important to me is my inventions, is my, you know, my quote unquote contributions to the world. But the thing is, it's always outliving him.
Yeah.
It's always outliving him, and it outlives him. And the thing is, the more he chases it, he stumbles, and the more he chases it, it brings him into darkness, and not just any particular darkness. It brings him to Singed. So
it brings him to Singed. Yeah.
this is so. What's happening in this story in the past is, it's just a not. It's not even a foreshadowing. It's almost like a foretelling of the exact events that will happen in the future, or in this case, in our case, the present. So now you saw, like, this is not an accident. So if I'm gonna go back a little bit just so that you guys can see. So when he's chasing this thing, there's this shot right. Where is it? I'm waiting for it. There's this shot right here, because this is also how they use symbolism. This is how they use symbolism. Oh no, I passed it. So he puts it in the water. Glorious evolution.
years.
I can't wait for him to actually sound like that in the story.
Yeah,
cannot
I
wait.
also enjoy how all the like cogs and gears inside his little boat.
Mhm.
We just see larger versions all over Piltover.
All over Piltover, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same mechanisms that they use in like the academy and stuff like that. Whenever there's things moving around,
Mhm.
like they use those same gear and cog shapes and just like those panels and things like that.
Okay, so
So it shows real like uniformity there.
they show this thing that is not necessarily a butterfly, but it is
No.
also not necessarily a moth. Like we don't know exactly what it is.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's a rune Terran thing, so it could literally be both. But they use this same this look. So look at this. It's almost like this thing survived time. It didn't really, right? But you know, it's planting a sort of metaphor of an idea,
Mhm.
and then this thing.
And here we have an organic one. They have like during I think even the first 3 episodes, we saw like mechanical versions of those
Yeah.
in Piltover.
But
Like they were just little toys, and especially during the festival where it's like they're flying around and things like that. It's like they have like little like Tinker Toy versions of those.
Yep, look at this. What's funny is this. Look, the things in the background, the things that are moving in cogs, like the thing that we associate that with is, you know, it's clockwork, right? So it's like a clock.
Mhm.
So you see like the framing. You look at this. You look at these two characters here. You see Victor and you see Heimerdinger, and you see this thing in the back that is supposed to be representative of time, right? And it's just cogging back and forth, all of that stuff. Look at how that, and then here we have that shot again of that little moth, and what did look at the use of symbolism. Heimerdinger says something along the lines of, it's unfortunate that the ones who burn the bright, who like shine the brightest, like burn the quickest or something like that, burn the fastest, something along those lines. And then you see the moth, and obviously the first thing we think of when we see the moth is we think of like moths to a flame. That's the association it's trying to make, right? And it's not that it's just getting burnt out, it's that it's symbolic. This little thing is symbolic of Victor, because he is like a moth to a flame. Like the closer he gets to it, the more he dies, the more he'll burn out in more ways than one. It's not just his life, but it's also maybe his morals or whatever he is, the things that make him him.
Mhm.
And like, and you see like them being framed with this little clockwork thing, right? That's going on in the background, because Victor's time is limited, while Heimerdinger's time is infinite. Like he's unaffected by time. There's like so many times, and I can we'll be here like for like the next 3 days if I was trying to like pinpoint all of the use of this kind of symbolism and this kind of language that they're trying to use. This is the reason why like they don't have like quite the same thing for seasons for episodes 1, 2, and 3. All of this kind of imagery is shown, is utilized, and really, I think, really perfected, masterfully done in Act 2. And it's almost like it's telling the story. It's like it's telling a different story. So like for example, the thing with the Jin, not Jin, by the way, the guy. So when all of the counselors were there, and Mel was talking to Jace, and Mel was pretty much and Mel was pretty much like teaching him how to play the politics game. They're in this sort of opera house, they're in this theater, and then there's a person playing the fiddle, right? Why is that important? Like what does that mean when, what is the significance of, like, what is the symbolism there, right? It's playing, the terminology, like the term, like you playing you like a fiddle. That's precisely what's happening. So so it's like a game at first, right? It's like, it's slow, but then later on, as the more when they start cutting off all of the dialogue, and you just see like, oh, he's talking to this person, oh, he's talking to this person, the music just gets more and more and more intense, and you can see like that guy is really, really playing, and he's really showing a lot of mastery, and it's just showing that, oh, he's really playing them, quote unquote, playing them like a fiddle. And they use They use so much of that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, your point.
Specifically, yeah, the fiddle player, because they had this really nice touch after he finishes his performance. You see this visual relief from him, which also is like also still showing like what Jace is going through in that scene, where it's just like, oh, he succeeded. Everyone's on his side now. Sigh of relief. So even after the performance is done, he still represents Jace's predicament. And I thought that was a very nice touch.
Yeah, it's like he's playing. It's like the story is being told by not Jace. Jace's story is not being told by Jace. That is so cool. Like that is like another. That is a different level of writing. That is a different level of film. When the visuals or the things that are not the characters are telling the story of the characters. That is so insane. Like the way that they frame those things is it's really crazy, like how they're doing this and what those things represent. There's so many ways to do that. Oh yeah. Because and by the way, like it was also one of my theories that person was in fact Jin. The person who was playing the fiddle was Jin. Because I looked at his face and I'm just like, is he Ionian? Is he Ionian? Meaning, does he look Asian? And I looked at him and it's definitely Asian face. So I was just like, oh.
Yeah,
that might in fact be
him, and I forget his name, but the current like captain of the guard. They have Marcus. Yeah, they have distinctly Asian features on them.
Caitlyn as well. Caitlyn as well.
Yeah, Caitlyn as well.
Yeah, but she's a
little bit more thrown off with because she has the distinctly British accent, so it's a little bit more thrown off with her. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's like there's so many times in this, like many times, and I'm like really. Like I've watched this so many times. I've watched it with like commentary from other creators. I've watched it with like so many times, and I'm trying to find honestly an original thought. To be honest, like I'm trying to come up with something that I can pick out. It's funny because I would say like, oh, like I have a psych degree and blah blah blah. But yeah, whatever, who cares, right? It's not like it makes it gives me extra special lens to see sort of the things that are going on. Maybe it'll help me explain some things, but it's not going to give me like extra set of eyes that you can only see it through the eyes of a psychologist. Like it's not nothing like that. So like I had to really like take a good look like as a viewer and really try to pick things apart. And there are a lot of things in the there are more things for me to find in Act 2 than in Act 1. In Act 1, because I think that's one of the reasons why people enjoy it a little bit more too, is because I think Act 1 is a simpler story to tell. It's a much simpler story.
It is.
And Act 2 is a much more complicated story to tell. It's a much more
which is why it's like Act 2 is not done. Like Act 2 very much is leading into Act 3.
Yeah.
Which so you can tell it's not done. Like we're not getting like another time skip or anything like that. It's like Vi's completely on the force and they're hunting down Jinx or anything like that. No, like 6 is directly going to lead into 7.
Yeah, that's what me and Harax were talking about earlier, because Harax like he asked the question of like, oh, do you know the time skip between like Act 1 and Act 2? And I'm guessing it's around 10 years. I'm guessing it's around 10 years. So all of the people who think that Jinx is hot in Act 2, like you calm down, like everybody else put down the phone, don't dial FBI. Like you're all good. She's of age, at the very least.
We think.
Yeah, she would at least be 17. I think at the most, right? So and that's sort of that. That's in the legal territory, but it's not in the pedophilic territory. And I think 10 is a good number because of the fact that Haraxman pointed out that in the time where we get Jace in the story, which is the same time that we get like actual like Doctor Doom Victor, he's 35 years of age. He's 24 years old. He's 24 years old in Act 1. If it's 10 years, he would be 34 in Act 2.
So we're right on the verge of Doctor Doom Victor.
Yeah, we are right there. We are right there at the precipice of this entering, I guess, what we would call League of Legends canon. canon
Uh-huh.
timeline, right? The present timeline. Even though that is a little bit different now because the story did move forward with Ruination and everything. But but Act 2 and Act 3 will not have a time skip. It will have
Yeah.
it will have probably the same. If you're gonna, we can argue that there is a skip in time, but it's not it's not really a skip. It's not a chasm of a time, and I don't think it should not, because with everything that's happening, you have your story right there. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is just-
There's no need for there to be like everything that's happening is in the moment right now. We don't need another like there isn't a blank period where nothing happens. Like the immediate next, like we're going to see the fallout of episode 6 in build up to the conflict, which will probably cross over 8 and 9. So
yeah, and
with both Vi, Caitlin, Jace, Victor, all of them.
yeah,
Heimerdinger.
and I think that there's a lot of things to essentially unpack when it comes down to a lot of the things that like we are in fact talking about. A few things that a lot of other content creators, I know this sounds really, really bold to say, but fuck it, like come at me, bros. Is that I think a lot of the content creators are getting some things wrong, and I feel very strongly about these things. I think that a lot of evidence would be on my side when it comes to stuff like this. For example, if you guys remember Mel Medarda, right? The one who was manipulating Jace, the one who slept with Jace. A lot of content creators. I won't just say people, because I know that people and content creators are not the same thing. But a lot of content creators, it seems to be that they're sort of unanimous in their opinion that Mel is in fact the villain of the Piltover saga, of the Piltover part of the story, and that doesn't seem to be the case. She's definitely villain-esque, but it's very, to me, tell me what you guys think about this, right? To me, especially looking at their animations and looking at, especially their body language and their facial expressions and even their motivations, right? When it comes to the council, they're corrupt, yes, but a lot of their corruption is very provincial. It's very provincial. None of it is like rule the world, change humanity.
No, it's like, and it was very much spelled out to us. It's like, oh well, the old fat one just enjoys like imported Noxian wines that are illegal. Like it's all very like self-indulgent, but not like, oh, I want to, because they like their position. They're not trying to like overthrow the world or anything like that. All of them are very comfortable, and they just have like a couple things here or there where they have to bend the rules.
Yeah, I think
so. They're not
they're
mega maniacal villains.
Yeah, I think they're more concerned about advancing their own enterprise. I think that's I think that is to me, I think is the most apt.
Yeah, like they're like corporate leaders, but they're not like Lex Luthor.
Yeah, they're not really they're not systematically trying to rule the world or anything like that. And in fact, the person, Mel, out of all of them, is the one who has more who seems to be the most ambitious. It's the reason why she comes off as more villainous, is because she seems to be a tad more ambitious
wants to
than the rest.
Push, yeah, and it's not even like so that she can be like like she is trying to raise her position, or at least like her family name, but that's almost kind of like a side bonus to pushing the world forward more.
Yeah, well,
and that definitely seems to be more her sort of driving factor.
Well, like, I do think that she's trying to push her own enterprise. It's made very clear in the first act that she just wants to be the richest Medarda. She wants to be, and she says that, she's sort of an exile, while she paints a Noxian dock. So let's remember that her painting, that's not Piltover. That's Noxus.
That was not Piltover.
That was Noxus. Her she was painting Noxus. So when she said she was an exile, we know when she said she's an exile, her painting showed us exactly where she was exiled to. Right? It's either to or from. Medardas are from Piltover, but she got exiled to, like it seems like there's that's kind of what they're pointing at. But my point with Medarda, with Mel, because there's obviously 2 Medardas on the council, is that I think a lot of content creators are getting her wrong. They're just like, oh, she's manipulating Jace and all of that stuff. And it's true, she was manipulating Jace. The problem is that I think what they're trying to go for is that Jace has now gone is going far beyond any of the council's or anybody's expectations are. He's going far, far beyond it. It's like, oh yeah, you taught him. Oh, it's like Mel's like, oh yeah, I have him at the palm of my hand, and she sleeps with him, right? And she wakes up and he's gone, and she's visibly upset by the fact.
Like that, and also when he came into her room with the painting and he lays on her lap, you also see that she's visibly surprised by his actions.
Yeah,
like it's like she's caught off guard. So it's I think that really shows that, like, if you're paying attention, no, she's not like you can view her as like maybe an antagonist, but she's not like the villain of the piece.
Yeah, no, and
what's the not piece as in like piece and war, villain of the piece as in the show.
Yeah, I think Jace is essentially will be the villain of the show, and this is the reason why he needs to redeem himself, like, in the end, right? And then Victor is the one who we're sort of rooting for because he's the one who's like, they show that a lot, by the way. They show that while, like, in the very first scenes that you see Victor and Jace, you see that while Victor is he's being sanctimonious, Victor is working. So you see, like, that shift. Like, you see, like, one of them is working, the other one is not. One of them is going to tell a speech, the other person is in the shadows. Like, they're really pushing that sort of thing back and forth, right? And and it makes you feel bad for Victor because he's like, man, this guy's slaving away, and you can see him visually getting tired, and it doesn't matter how tired he is or how sick he is or how weak he is, he's going to continue to work. But one thing that they do show, because a lot of people I think was also getting this wrong, they're just like, oh my god, poor him. It's like, well, he's also obsessed. Like, Victor is not just he's not just oh yeah, we're trying to help the world. It's like, if we're trying
to push this technology forward so I don't die.
Yeah, well, I also believe that. I also believe if advancing his technology or advancing his discoveries or his enterprise, right? That's usually what they call it. If by enhancing by advancing his enterprise, if it means the death of many, he would do it. Like, I really feel that. I'm getting that. I get that vibe from him. Like, it's like, well, it's for the greater good. Like, does that make sense? It's like, I just need to kill, like, if the price for glorious evolution is the death of 100,000 men, then so be it, because like 1 billion more will benefit. Like, that is the sort of person Victor is being turned out to be, and we're getting really close to that now. I think him going to Singed is sort of the indicator that will in fact be the case. But anyways, going back to my thing about Mel, what you said is absolutely true, and that's also one of the moments where he lays on she's obviously upset and kind of in a girlfriend-ish way, or kind of like I got ghosted, I got stood up kind of a way, right? If this was purely about manipulation, then this wouldn't be an issue. It wouldn't, but it's a little, but it's a little bit of her humanity. It's a little about her personhood that's showing, because before she's not a person. She is a person of position. She's an influence. That's what she is. She's an influence, but she's not a person. So the first time we actually get to see her as a person, because we like to the point, like, the moment they kiss, the moment they touch hands, all of that kind of stuff, we don't trust her that she's sincere.
Right.
We don't feel that at all. We're just like, oh, she's always she really had her eye on this guy and all of that stuff, and it's more because of his enterprise. And but in that moment when she was left, when she basically got ghosted, right? Or she got sort of like sign seal delivered and gone. When he comes back, when she's painting, they even show it in her brushstrokes, like that she's mad. She's just like, oh, it's okay, you got business to do, and she's just like flicking the thing around, right? And then Jace comes in and he says, oh, I didn't know you were an artist. And then what does she say? She says, well, there's a lot of things that you don't know about me. And that's kind of language of, and the thing is, she's not talking to she's not necessarily talking to Jace. She's talking to us. It's like when we look at her, we're just like, oh yeah, well, you're just this manipulative bitch. And she's actually answering the question to us. She's going, there's actually a lot of things you don't know about me. She's talking to us too. This show does a very good job of doing that. They do it in their shots too. It's like, oh, who did this? Next shot is actually the person who did it. They do that. They answer one frame. They answer the question of the previous frame with the actual next shot, which is like, that's film stuff. It's not like, that's not like groundbreaking or whatever, but they're using a combination of these things for the story. And again, I'm really trying to stick with my Mel point, but when she gives that, and then all of a sudden Jace drops that whole news, it's like, oh yeah, Victor's dying, and then she stops. Like, you see her hesitation. She stops right there, and then she's like, what? And then she's, it's almost like she became oh, nice costume change. It's almost like she became she felt, it's almost like she felt guilty for being petty. Like, she felt, like what do you do when someone drops that to you? And she's like, why you like, 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 shouldn't you be with him? That kind of thing. And then he lays on her lap and she's so shocked. She's like, it's almost like it shows you that she's never had a real relationship outside of, I guess, manipulation or whatever, right? And it's, and in that way, she is warming up to Jace. Not the other way around. She's warming up to Jace. She's like, oh, well, like, oh, like, she's beginning to be sincere about him. Now, Jace played that whole game, the whole politics game, and he played it because he's a good student. Like, he's got a good eye for this kind of stuff. And for Jace, obviously he's a character of great competence. Like, if you're gonna teach him how to manipulate, like, he will manipulate. Like, he will manipulate the fuck out of things. And he doesn't really have he really doesn't have a need to do so, but he just did it because he did. He did. There was no reason, right? And there's still him. He's still a little bit like, he's corruptible, obviously, but in his goals are still noble. In that sense, right? He's playing the game, but remember, it doesn't feel so bad when he's manipulating the other corrupt manipulators, because they're corrupt. Yeah. So it doesn't feel. You don't feel that bad for when he does that. Like, you don't necessarily. It's not designed for you to feel really, really bad about him. But then, later on, he becomes sort of like this monster that Mel can't control. That surprises even Mel. I really want you guys to pay. Okay, I'm going to show this. I really want you guys to really, really pay attention to this. This is so. Okay, so I'm showing it on the screen right now. I'm going to play it out now. So they start off, and Heimerdinger here is literally saying this whole speech, which is a very heartwarming speech, and it's a very, like, let's a kumbaya speech where, oh, like we've been too greedy, we've been doing this, we're not caring about the people, we need to change, like, we need to do this. Okay, so that's what he's saying, because I'm not going to play the audio, but look at their expression while he's saying those things. I want you to see what their expression is like when he's saying all of those things. I don't know if I got that. Look at them. Look at their expression. The little nod to, look at all of them. They're look at even Mel's face. Do you see all the sincerity in all of their faces? They're all so sincere. They're all actually moved by Heimerdinger's speech. All of them are.
Yeah.
All of them are moved by Heimerdinger's speech. Every single one of them. Even the guys with even the guy with the helmet, Bolbok or something like that. I think that's his name. You can see him. Even
Zoltar.
Obviously, you see him, like, he's really, like, he moves his head down, and he's just sort of looking away, like looking at everyone else, kind of like, oh yeah, huh. And it's like this gesture of realization, and everybody has that. Even Mel, who's the quote unquote villain. This is the reason why I think a lot of the content creators are wrong about her. You see her in this scene, and you see her eyes, and you see how sincere she is about what Heimerdinger is saying. And then I'm gonna fast forward this a little bit, and then Jace Jace is the only person who's hardened by it, right? Why? Because he knows that he's at an impasse with Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger wants to get rid of all of the thing that could save Victor.
Yeah, the same impasse that he was at during his speech.
Yeah, the first time around.
In which he sided with Heimerdinger.
Yeah.
He's like, I sided with you. I was like, I eventually decided to agree with you and things still worked out. But you're doing this again, and my friend's life is in danger.
Yep.
We I can't keep siding with you like this.
Mhm.
Like he will die because you weren't siding with us.
Yep.
So
Look at Mel's face. Look at Mel's face here.
mhm.
Look at it. Look at her face. See? Look at her face. Like, that is not the face of somebody who's like antagonistically manipulating the scene. She's not. Look at her. Look, she's shocked. Look at all of their faces. Look.
Mhm.
This is the moment where Jace is just like, well, what about you? Well, who's gonna hold you accountable? Like, all of this stuff is like, all of the bad things that are happening are under your watch. Look at everyone's shock. Look at everyone's face. They're just like, wait, what?
They're like, fuck, we never fucking called out Heimerdinger before. He's been on the council for like a day and a half. He's calling out Heimerdinger?
Yep.
Fuck.
And but they're all concerned about it. Look at this. None of them are happy about this. When he brings it out to a vote, none of them are happy. Nobody is happy that they're getting rid of Heimer.
Not even Jace is happy because he's the last
Yep.
one to actually approve of his own proposition.
And when he raises his hand, he looks away from him in shame when he does it. Like, look at this. Look at this. Everyone's face is they're almost sort of like mortified by what's happening. Look at it. Look at him. He looks so worried. Look at her. Look, did you see that? Did you see, like, they didn't even show her that lady's face, but as she was about to drink the cup, you see that hesitation. That hesitation is not just a hesitation in her to drink. It's her hesitation to vote. It's her hesitation for the whole thing that's happening. But they all know what's going on. They have to side with him because he manipulated all of them. He made deals with every one of them. So he's actually playing. So while Heimerdinger is telling them, "Look, we got to put down all of our greed. We got to do this for we got to do this for the future of Piltover." What Jinx is not Jinx. What Jace is doing, what he's saying, he's tugging at the last vestiges of their greed at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody is happy about it. Nobody, including Jace. Nobody. Look at Mel's face.
Jace.
Look at this. Like, I really want you guys to pay attention to this. When he looks at Mel, look at him. He looks at Mel, right? It's kind of like I have to do this. Look. And look at Mel's face. Look at that face. He looks at her because for him it's like, you need to side with me, like you do.
Yeah.
It's like you're not just
she's also the first one to vote. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're not. And look at it. It's manipulative. It's like, you're going to say yes, right? It's not just that you're my, that you taught me and all of those things, and we're on the same camp. Like we're in a relationship.
Yeah, and
Like,
she's the vote that cascades everyone else
Yep.
to be like
Mhm.
she's yeah.
Yep. And so now what is essentially happening is that the tables have turned. Mel is confronting has to go along with the monster she created. She helped create.
Mm-hmm.
That is intense. Like even look at how good Riot is. Up to the point where her hand is here, you see her hand go like you see every little bone in that 3D hand express hesitation.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Also, can I talk about these lights in the council room? Because I always imagine there's some like intern off screen
Mhm.
that has like this massive sort of like stage light system,
Uh-huh.
and they just have to like flip the correct switch every single time someone votes.
Oh, I know. Imagine.
Oh, he's just sitting there like,
Like-
oh shit, this is a serious vote.
Oh,
I'm gonna have
oh
to-
fuck, it's a vote. It's like Invest. He's like shit.
The only thing he paid to do is lights.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
The one time you want the person who's working at it who's really not paying attention.
Me.
Right. But yeah, and
Right.
I think this scene is just so heavy in the sense that this is where we're at with Jace. Jace is like, okay, yeah, now I'm playing the game, and now I'm good at it, and I'm gonna play this right. And I had no, and this I'm speaking on behalf of Jace, right? This is like literally what Jace is essentially his mode is in this story or in this scene right here is basically, look, I put everyone, I like, this is what it is. I know what's better. It's sort of that like that teenage righteous indignation where, oh, I know what's better. I know all of this stuff, and what was my point? Oh yeah, now he has reason to leverage his power. He has reason to leverage his
Uh-huh.
power now. Why? Because it could save Victor, and he feels guilt for not being there. He says it many times.
Hmm.
He says it many times. I know a lot of people ship them, but you essentially get the whole point of like where I'm going with this. It's really quite a brilliant scene, and I love how look at everyone like voting. It's an incredible scene. By the way, don't trust the colors on my screen. Obviously, I edited it a bit so that we don't get dinged, but well, we might get dinged
Mhm.
anyways. It doesn't matter. But like all of this sort of comes to a halt about like what Mel's like role is in the story, and it's not as the main antagonist. She's obviously not. Like I'm actually really convinced that I'm right about that. So
Oh, I agree, 100%.
yeah,
Like she's kind of like the Dr. Frankenstein of the piece, where it's just like, congratulations, you've created a monster, and that monster is Jace.
Yeah.
He's a political monster now. And you're like, oh no. Oh, this wasn't how it was supposed to happen.
And it's funny how you mentioned that because who else is similar in that regard? There's another character that is like that. Who else in this story is like that? It's Jinx. Jinx
Yeah.
has the potential to be the revenge, the vengeance of Zon, right? She can unleash like catastrophic mayhem, and she's brilliant in more ways than you can think of. But she was coddled and protected, and and they didn't invest in her. And Silco says that. Remember, Silco goes, "Oh, the time he speaks to Vi for the first time, right? He says, "Oh, Vander's prodigy." He made the choice to say Vander's prodigy. It's like, oh yeah, and his what he's essentially saying is that, Vander, you're such a fool. You were spending all this time because Vi is not actually Vander's prodigy. Like, she's not. Like, she's just one of the kids, right? It's not like it's not that Vander didn't like take her under his wing and taught her how to punch and taught her how to do like
Yeah.
that wasn't his intention. Like, they were his daughters essentially. And but the way that Silco looked at Vi is, Vander's prodigy. You were the person that Vander was wasting his time on. But Jinx is the real deal. Almost like making fun of the opportunity that Vander didn't take. It's like Jinx is the real prize. It's like you think Vi is the prize? Vi is nothing. Jinx is the more powerful one. And Jinx is in fact the more powerful person of the two.
Yeah.
And Act 2 shows that deliberately.
Yeah.
Shows that. And how do they do that? Savika is the answer. I don't know if you guys see what I'm saying, but I'm going to show you. When Vi fights Savika, so because a lot of people are asking, like, what is Savika's like purpose? What's Savika's purpose in the whole story, right? It's, like, why give her all of that stuff? Like, why use her? And I've heard the other content creators talk about that too. It's like, what is really Savika's purpose? I think Savika is supposed to be, in a way, sort of the new Milo. to Jinx in the sense that she's antagonistic to Jinx.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I think they set up Savika to be the reference between Vi and Jinx. Because remember what happened in Act 2 when Savika came face to face with Vi. They fought.
Because really, Savika's the one character that's left that knows both of them.
Yes. And she's been on both sides of that coin, yeah. And when Savika meets with Vi, they fight. And the fight is ferocious. You know, Vi wins technically, but then, but then what happens? She says a few words and she stabbed. I love this because, again, this is very much in Arcane fashion by now. That while at the same time as Savika stabs Vi with her words, she then proceeds to actually stab her. Stab her. Which is, again, like a great like storytelling narrative like mechanism, right? Like that's a great way to show that. It's just like, oh, it's like, ooh, that hurt, and then hurt her. That's a good way to, because it's
that actually hurt.
That actually hurt her, because then people will create the parallel between what's happening. But then what happens when Savika goes face to face with Jinx? That's a whole different story. It's the fight is nowhere close. And she even tries to use the same tactic. She's like, "Oh yeah, I know who it is. Vi's here, your sister, and she has somebody new. And it doesn't matter because, you're going to implode, and then everyone will see like what a Jinx you are." And then she's like, "Achoo!" And she's like, great job, Toots." Right? And it's like, do you see what I'm saying? And then Savika's absolutely powerless against Jinx. Absolutely powerless. And remember, that is an important distinction. And I'm not the one making the distinction. Arcane is. Remember the scene where where Jinx goes back to the arcade and then fights the punching bag thing? The right? And it reaches all the way to the top, and then she's like her score is just right below Vi's.
Yeah.
People go, and I noticed a lot of content creators were also saying this. They were saying, "Oh, but she's just not there. She's living in Vi's shadow." Well, what does she do? Right after that scene doesn't end with her getting that low score, and that's it. Like,
no.
What happens?
No, she pulls out her gun and then finishes the set by hitting the Milo face again.
You are listening to Cranestorming.
So I need to turn that
a
off.
podcast.
But yeah, so and that's and that's precisely right. She goes out and she goes bang. She shoots it, right. She goes, which kind of shows that she can do things that Vi cannot.
Exactly.
She can do,
like, even her fighting style is drastically different and far more chaotic.
Yeah, and it's she's willing. Like, Vi fought Savika in a fair fight. Right. In fact, Savika was sort of the one cheating, but then when it came down to Jinx, Jinx had all the cards because she was the one essentially cheating. Right. And it's just, you're powerless against somebody who has no reservations. There's nothing you can do. Yeah. That's the reason why a lot of people are just like, "Oh, she's kind of like Harley Quinn. Oh, she's kind of like the Joker." Well, the only reason why they're making a lot of these references is because the one thing that I think they truly share. Right, it's not that, oh, they're crazy, because that's not okay, whatever. Like, to me that's the corniest interpretation you can get from that comparison. The true comparison between Jinx and the Joker and Harley or something like that is the fact that there are no lengths that they are not willing to go. And who said that? Silco said that. The very first time you meet Silco. The very first time you meet Silco says, literally, power belongs to those who would do anything to achieve it. And it's like, Vi is not willing. That's not Vi. When he says that is not Vi. That is definitely Jinx. Jinx will go through, will do anything to, get what she wants. Anything. It doesn't matter how many people die. It doesn't matter how many things she destroys. It doesn't matter. Because she wants something, she will get it no matter what. And... Oh, and see, Banana's right. That is also Jace. So do you see that in
Yeah.
season 2 or season 2, not sorry, in Act 2,
Act 2.
the parallels that they're the parallel the parallel is actually that of Jace and Jinx. Jace and Jinx are the parallels in the story. Jace
Hmm.
is to pilt over what Jinx is to Zon.
Yeah.
That is the parallel that they're trying to show. And I don't know, like, okay, sorry, I've been talking a whole lot, but like, what do you guys think? Sort of like my musings so far, because I told you my hot take isn't even here yet, but go ahead.
I think you hit the giant nail on the head with your Hex Tech hammer. I think you're absolutely 100% correct.
Stupid. Oh yes. Oh yes. Mm. I think that a lot of these things are sort of like being missed in that situation, but these parallels, like, they cannot be, like, people, because of season 2, or I keep saying season 2, because of Act 2, I'm pretty convinced that
We're not there yet.
I'm pretty
Not there
convinced
yet.
because a lot of people are just like, oh, this is like a Vi story. Like, to me, this seems more like a Jinx Jace story. Right? Like, this is
Mhm.
and they are
Thanks for the follow.
Oh, Philip, thank you for following.
Thank you so much.
love it, and I agree. Have you seen Arcane 2, bro? It's always good to have Philip here. I think this is not the first time you've been here, but this is yeah, I'm just airing out some thoughts. But yeah, and that's sort of like one of the things here that you cannot like sort of overlook. You mean this isn't all about Amumu? No, it's not about Amumu. It's obviously about Teemo. Obviously. So yeah, I do think a lot of people are getting that wrong. Philip here does things like film too, so I know that you could really appreciate it. But one thing that I was mentioning earlier, the acting is like insane. And the thing is, this is that a lot of productions that use a lot of CGI, that use 3D and animation and all of that, a lot of them rely very heavily on dialogue. They rely very heavily on like voice acting, but with Arcane, it's sort of the opposite. They use another great tool that they use is montage. They montage so fucking well. It's like they ask a question in this scene, and then the next frame answers the question without anybody opening their mouths. I mean, think about it this way, right? I think I have it up here. Where no, that's the episode prior to this, because I'm showing people like some shots from the show. Let's see. I'm looking for when Silco talks to. Where is it? Okay, no. When Silco talks to Marcus, where? Please tell me it's in this. Silco talks to Marcus. Silco talks to Marcus. Oh, it's probably okay. It's in the next episode. I'm really looking for this. Yeah, I talk a lot about montage. Oh yeah, because this is okay. So look at this. I want to show you this scene right here is Marcus. Oh, obviously it's flipped, but this scene here is Marcus like complaining. He's just like, oh, I just lost like how many enforcers, and this essentially is now like the parallel between like Vander and Grayson, right? But obviously like with a layer of safety removed. And
Yeah.
and I want you guys to see how brilliant the framing is. I'm glad that Philip is here because this is he will understand this. Like, everyone will understand this, I'm pretty sure. But I know that he will really appreciate this. See this shot right there? That shot. You see that shot? That framing device is not just a framing, like it's framing the fact that Marcus is what? He's not only trapped, he is under his arm. He's not below, because a lot of times they use this whole villainous thing where it's like, oh, he's like on top of him, or he's like on his feet, or like they have like this difference there. But I think that this framing right here is more than just that. It's like he is under his wing, or he's under his arm, which means that it's not just necessarily a oh, I'm just overpowering you. I'm dominating you. But it's also that Silco is in fact his benefactor. The reason why he's a
Mhm.
sheriff, the reason why he's like this, is because he's under his arm. He's not above, he's not below, he's under his arm. Like, look at how that sort of framing works. Like, that is brilliant the way they're doing it. They're telling the story outside of the characters talking, which, as a voice actor, it's great that you use voice actors and everything, but good film like makes sure that a story is told in
Mhm.
minimum of 3 layers. Right? You have your acting, you have your body language, you have the shot, and then you have the dialogue itself, you have music, you have like all of these different things, but framing, sound effect. Sound effect is important too. Like I refuse to play music here or play the audio here. But again, I mentioned this earlier. When Jinx is quote unquote like her jinxy self, all of the sounds are high pass filter. So everything is sharper. And then when she goes kind of crazy, like when she gets quote unquote into her little powder relapses, all of a sudden low pass filter. All of a sudden everything is bassier. And you feel it. So when she drops, you drop. You're like, ooh, you feel that same thing too. And it's very easy for a lot of these animations. I mean, look at it. I mean, look, I don't like well, okay, I'm gonna I was about to lie and say that I don't really take that much satisfaction in this, but look at Dota's Dragonborn. You probably haven't watched it. You probably shouldn't because it sucks. But that's the Netflix series that Blizzard created for Dota. And it's so cut and dry. It's very, very bad. Everything is dialogue. Everything is just dumps and dumps and dumps of dialogue, maybe some body language or whatnot, but then that's it. This sort of goes beyond this. And earlier, Philip, you missed it, but I was talking about how this does not only just foreshadow things, because foreshadowing is a good technique and whatever. It's a good way to like really sort of build up payout and all of those sorts of things that you would really need for a story to feel full and complete, especially to the people who are watching. But they also do sort of like a foretelling of events. When they show like and they use a lot of symbolism when they show like the little moth with what's his name, with Victor. Think of it this way. This one of the videos I was going to create, or one of the videos I'm writing right now that I'm going to turn into a standalone video, is talking about one of the segments there. It talks about Jinx's relationship to danger, and the story does a very good job of telling you what danger is, right? And the thing that represents danger, do you guys remember? Like, what represents danger sort of like in the world of Zon? Or I guess in the world of Arcane. It's the monkey, yeah, so that's perfect. It's the monkey. The monkey means danger. It's not, we don't assume it. Like, the story tells us that. When the guards come in, his toy boat creation going beyond him was like foretelling for the future. Yeah, see, exactly. That's precisely what I said earlier. But not just that, like it doesn't only just go beyond him. When he chases it, because he does chase it, when he chases it, it actually goes into the deepest darkness. So it kind of shows you like what the shot is showing you. It's telling you what happens when he chases after his technology. What happens when he chases after his creation. Right? And not just that, Philip, literally in that same shot while he's chasing it, they show literally the moth. They show the moth. Like in the middle of that shot. Okay, so when the enforcers come to the last drop and then Vander wants to alert the kids to danger, the monkey is the thing that drops. Like, when Powder is sort of going through her phase when she got left behind, because remember, the thing that empowers her, Vi empowers her, right? And keeps her focused, keeps her centered. And it's not just a thing. It's like, oh, when she's not there, she becomes when it's not just a thing where because Vi is there, like she feels safe. Like it's not necessarily a safety thing. Vi, what I like about this is that Vi does more than that for Powder. What Vi does is that Vi pushes Powder to be brave. And again, I guess this is a little bit of psychological like this has some background for me, but when you're counseling people, when you do things like counseling, and when people, like you do those sort of sessions with people, you're trying to help people get through a phobia or a trauma or whatever. The only thing that you're basically doing for them is you're just trying to make them braver than what they were the last time you met them, or the last meeting you had with them. If you're going through counseling or anything like that, and that is not what their goal is, or that is not what they're trying to do, then just find another therapist. Because that's not what it should be. What it should be is that they should be making you braver, not feel better about yourself. It's about they have to make you feel braver, at least this much more braver than what you were before. Because in terms of in sort of a psychological sense, the thing that the real currency of mental stability and mental health is courage. Like on the bottom, because anything of the lack of courage thereof will turn into, because psychosis can come off like, oh, maybe they're brave. No, that's different. Bravery is moving it's navigating yourself bravely in a world that can hurt you. That is what bravery is, right? Like if you're brazen and you're just like going all out and just like, oh, like you're fatalistic. That's the term that we often use. That's not indicative of mental health. That's indicative of mental illness. Like for you to go like 0 to 100, like that's not what it is. Being able to experience fear and move forward yet like still, like that's what it is. So the moment, and that's the thing that hurt her the most. Remember, it wasn't just let's leave, we're going to leave you behind. That wasn't the thing that hurt her the most. The thing that hurt her the most was when Vi said, "You're not ready." That was the thing that hurt her.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing that empowered her in the very first episode was, remember, Clagger was like, "Oh, okay, I'll go get her." And then Vi stops him and says, "No. Like, Powder, what did I tell you?" And she's like, "I'm ready." That's what it is. So Vi was actually like a good like therapist to Powder, because what she was doing was presenting her with opportunities to be brave. It's like, even if you fail, I'm here. So move forward. She's not saying, remember, Vi is not saying like things won't go wrong. It's just that if things happen, I'm here. Like we can get through this. Look at how, like, when Milo's like, "Oh yeah, it's all her fault." Like, "Oh my God, she loses this and she like gets a slap in the wrist," and and Vi literally says, "Yep." That's what that is. Like, it's very. I want people to understand this. A lot of people think like, oh, the whole event, the whole thing with Silco and all of that, that's making Powder crazy. No, like my theory, or the way that I'm reading this, is that Powder was always crazy. She always had it in her. She's always had it in her to go nuts, right? Because what does she do? She falls. She's paralyzed by fear. And those are the most dangerous people, by the way. The most dangerous people are the people who are paralyzed by fear. I think Star Wars mentions it too, right? "Much fear I sense in you. Fear leads to..." Was it? "Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to pain. Pain leads to suffering." Like, it's a common trope because it's true. It's a common wisdom because it's true. It's true because the more that you fear something, like, you will do everything in your power to avoid it. People say this. It's funny because people go like, "Oh, people change." The truth is, people don't really change. I know, shock, right? But it's like, "Oh yeah, but people do this and they change their names, or they change this, or they change their location and all of that." Actually, they're not really changing. There's two types of change. Change to like real, like true change, or change to, like, people are willing to change everything so that they can avoid a particular change. Does it make sense? It's like, "Oh, I'm scared of dogs, so I'm willing to move like to another country that has no dogs." That's a lot of change, but is it really change? It's not really change, right? Because you didn't get over your fear of dogs. You're just doing everything in your power so that you don't have to change. And what you're seeing with somebody like Jinx, that's precisely what you're seeing with somebody like Jinx, right? Like she's not quote unquote getting stronger, she's not getting better, right? She's just doing everything in her power to avoid like pain. And that can ultimately like break her. That's actually what we're sort of seeing right now. I don't know, like, are you sort of on that camp? Because that's me. Like, I'm on the camp that Jinx was always nuts. Like, she always had it in her.
Yeah, I think we saw that. Like, it could very well have been like caused in that huge sort of like battle we saw at the very beginning of the first episode. Just being in a war zone like that obviously messes with people. But we see that very early on where she's left alone back at home, and we're already seeing glimpses of her like craziness, her insanity. It's already like spilling through. So even before Silco and before their Vander's death and all that, it was already there. So yeah, she is definitely of the like playable characters in the show right now. She's definitely the most dangerous. I would say, just because you don't know what she's going to do. Even for the characters closest to her, you don't know what she's going to do.
How about you, Horax? What do you think? You've been so silent this whole time. I'm just like, what is?
Man, I've been achievement hunting on the side. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Lol.
Hey, but I got a couple.
Hey,
No, I'm pretty confident in the fact that Jinx has been insane the entire time too, though. Like, it does look like Vi is purposefully protecting Jinx to keep her away from like driving into that insanity. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, like you said, Mila's like, I get a slap or I get fucking beat up, and she gets nothing but like a slap on the wrist essentially. And she's like, yup, because she knows Jinx is mentally unstable.
Well, I don't.
Already.
I think in a way, I don't necessarily think that Vi might really look at her like she's just mentally unstable. I do think that Vi sees her potential in the same way sort of Silco does, right? But because she says it too. She's like, because remember the thing is, Powder, especially in the first act, you can see that Powder really has, Powder really surprises Vi in many situations. Remember when she shows her like, oh look, I got these, and she shows the Hextech crystals, and Vi is just like, where did you get these? It's just like, oh, I swiped them from the place, from the penthouse. She's like, oh, should we show Vander? And Vi's just like, no. And then she's like shocked, and she's like, let this be our little secret. And then what does she do? She says, Milo's wrong. You're much stronger than everybody thinks. And one day, like, this world will respect us. Which is they're both true. It's funny because Vi has actually she's like a fortune teller. She actually says exactly what happens. So when Vi goes, I have these and you have those, and she's pointing at the bombs, and she's like, it never works, and she's like, it will. That's literally the next time, right after that, the next time that Jinx uses the bomb, it did in fact work.
It did in fact work.
So when she says, oh, the world will respect us, it's like, we know that is absolutely going to happen. I wanted to bring, so I don't know if you guys are ready for this, but are you ready for my hot take?
Let's hear this spicy hot take. I have been eagerly awaiting it.
Okay, so I don't think a lot of people are seeing the connection to this. I think I sort of remembered it that when we were talking about it the last time, that the thing. Remember, Clagger and Milo are pretty much fridged characters, right? And for those of you who don't know the term fridged characters, it just means like they're characters meant to die, so that they will essentially play, like, their death plays a role in the other characters. So that's essentially what Milo and Clagger are. So unfortunately, however,
my boy R.I.P. Clagger.
I know.
Oh, boy.
I loved Clagger so much. But okay, so here's the thing. We know that, like, we see that Clagger, Vi eventually dons Clagger's,
Googles.
the Google, yes, the goggles.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be some part of that sort of brings Vi's character full circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I did notice, and I hope maybe for those of you who are watching, because I know majority of you are lurking, or listening to me in the background because I talk a lot, because I can't fucking shut up, is that I hope you sort of, if you ever do get an opportunity to watch the series again, try to bear this in mind, because this sort of blew my mind when I saw it. Milo is the precursor to Jinx. That is his role
Mm-hmm.
in the story to me.
Yeah.
You know, if you really pay attention, which I really tried to do, like in this video that I'm making, that's one of the topics in my video. I actually created parallels in their behavior, like how their body moves and how they talk. But Milo is very much like a male Jinx. He's very much like a male Jinx, like down to a lot of the things that they're interested in, and all of that. Like, I never made this connection before, but now I do. So the moment I saw this, it sort of like dawned on me. Jinx, when they're on the rooftops in the first episode, one of the first things that Jinx, I think it's the first thing that Jinx ever says. It might be the second or third thing that she ever says, but it's one of the first things she ever says in the series, which is, "One day I'm gonna ride one of those things." Like, she's talking about the airship, and then immediately after, Milo. Do you guys remember what Milo says after?
One day I'm gonna shoot one down.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he goes, he does this. Pow. Who does that remind you of?
Yeah. And actually, I did forget about that line. And what's the first thing we see Jinx doing? She's in the hull of an airship.
Yep. Shooting it down, essentially. You know?
And she also shoots it down, essentially,
Yep.
Yeah.
So
she definitely shoots it up.
He shoots it up at the very least, right? So don't worry. In the third one, we'll definitely in the third act, we'll definitely see her shoot an airship down. Well, that's got to be in the bingo.
Oh, and also we that was one thing I wanted to bring up was if we were going to do a
Bingo.
talk about the bingo cards, or if we were going to do that for like in a later stream.
Well, I wanted to do.
Oh,
before you say it, I wanted to do bingo all the way back to like Shang-Chi or something like that, or I don't know if you remember that, but I wanted to do like a bingo for pretty much any movie that comes out, because I think it's a great game. I think it's a fun game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go Harak. Sorry.
So I think we'll tackle the bingo in our next Crane Freeze, which should be Wednesday, hopefully, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we could just. I think we reinvent the list. We keep some of the stuff on the list for Act 3, and then see who's interested in another bingo card for Act 3.
Or we actually don't change anything, because I feel a lot of this stuff might actually also pop up in the next 3 episodes.
No, I think we can repeat some of those things, but I do want to create like a new slate. Like, I want to create like more stuff.
Because
we have more information.
I don't want people to keep their bingo cards, because some people are literally one away from bingo, and they're going to get one thing, get the bingo, and then not care about the bingo anymore. So we do a new set, but we keep some of the stuff in the sets.
Oh, by the way, I was actually right. Caitlyn's hat did actually make an appearance in her room.
It did.
Very, very early on. And oh boy, that was the first thing I marked off, was like, oh, Caitlyn's hat. Yep. There we go.
Well, because
it was right there.
They in the watch party, they didn't count it. Omet was there, I know, and they didn't count it because she was wearing a hat, but then we changed it to it has to be like the Caitlyn hat, and we actually did find it. We missed it when we in our watch party, but when I watched it again, it was in fact in her room. So when she was wearing sort of her like little nightgown thing.
I know she also had the hat in Act 1.
Yeah, in Act 1, but we're not counting the things that happen in Act 1 for Act 2. So, Because we all thought we got a freebie with Vander as Warwick. We all thought we got we all thought we got like a freebie.
Act 3, man.
Yeah, Act 3. I feel like it's going to be
the one thing that got to me was that we were actually much closer to an ollie than we were a backflip, and that's the one that really got to me.
Actually had a kickflip, and that really paid.
We had a kickflip, yeah.
No,
I was like, oh my god, we were so close.
Yeah,
no, just had flip on the thing. If someone flipped the coin, flipped the board, it didn't matter if there's a flip.
But there was an actual ollie. Like there was an actual ollie in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like they actually it's one of the first things that happened in the whole show was an ollie. I was like, and you guys were like, "Oh, Crane, that's awfully specific." I'm just like, let's go with backflip instead. Who would have guessed that the backflip actually doesn't show up, but the ollie does? So, Omet was so pissed. He's like, "Oh no."
People are like, wrapped singe isn't gonna appear, but I was like, I don't know about that one, guys. Wrapped singe.
Yeah. The one I marked this one off. And in like a little one in the corner because I wasn't sure if there was because I did miss the watch party, unfortunately. I did fix my brother's computer though.
Oh, good.
I did fix my brother's computer. Yeah. So it's all back up and running. So it was worth that 5 hours of not sleeping. But the one that I half marked down was Jinx says boom. She didn't say boom, but she wrote boom.
We considered it. We considered it. We
there were a few things we gave away, right? Like Jinx says boom we gave because she wrote boom. Episode's completely not about Vi we gave because the fourth episode.
Episode 4. Yeah, the fourth episode was not about Vi. She showed up at the very end, but it was not starring Vi. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That one I marked off.
So we gave that one away as well.
Here, I'll actually just list the ones I marked off that we haven't talked about yet. Cisco bonds with Jinx. I think almost obvious. Every single scene of those two together was in there.
Some of it was a little uncomfortable, but yes.
Yeah, it never fully went to like full super uncomfortable. There were a couple close calls, but it never got there.
Yeah, but I think it's just because like Jinx is older, like, and they're but if you think about it, like if she was younger and she was acting like that, like it didn't feel like as creepy.
Yeah. Song plays with lyrics that we got right away.
Mm-hmm. And we got Jinx's song with lyrics. Also, Imagine Dragons was actually in the story.
Oh yeah, that really distracted me because I knew immediately what that was. And I'm like, that I understand what they're doing.
No,
I don't think they needed to do that.
So there's one more we gave away, and it was Vi gets new gauntlets. We gave away because it was in the teaser for the next act.
Oh, then that means I bingoed. Oh no, does that mean I bingoed? Wait,
I was nowhere.
I think you gave one to Dom, so I think Tigress got bingo. Did Tigress get bingo?
Did Tigress get bingo?
I think Tigress. No. I think I got bingo then. Was I the one who?
I was nowhere.
I think I was the one who needed that. I think I was.
I did not get anywhere.
I got your card right here. Let's see.
If I get new, oh no, not backflip. Oh no, I think this is definitely. I have her card.
Oh, see, if the problem was if for me that gets me close. If I gets new gauntlets is counted. The one that would have stopped me was Seraphine hinted, and I'm very mad about that.
Oh no, she didn't. No, I don't think she got it because she needed Fishbones tease or appears, and it didn't. Fishbones was teased in the first act, but not the second.
Not the second act. Yeah.
So many people got close. I looked at every bingo card. No one got bingo, but absolutely everyone was one away.
Yeah, if new gauntlets is counted, then I was one away.
Oh, Banana Penguin. They mentioned they teased not Caitlyn, Camille in the first season, in the first episode. Yeah, because Mel's you know how each council or each house they can serve as patrons to other like houses, lower houses and stuff like that. It was the first thing they said was that House Ferris is the house that is aligned with Mel Medarda. They mentioned that, and House Ferris is literally Camille. Camille is from House Ferris. a little bit of a retcon, but they changed.
We've
they-
done small ones here and there.
Yeah, but Jace's original house is called Geopara. Like in the lore book. I have the lore book. Where's my lore book?
Like Vi's supposed to have like amnesia. That's nowhere near anywhere in this series, at least as of now. That may change, but like yeah, she's supposed to not remember her childhood at all.
That could still happen.
It could still happen.
That
It could
could-
still happen in the last 3 episodes.
That
That's true.
could, in fact, still happen. But
I think that would take away a lot of gravity of the situation, so I think they're gonna let that one go.
yeah. So, but then yeah. What's
New bingo cards for everyone.
Yes, let's do
Oh,
it. I'm so
yeah.
happy about that.
Also, they made the bridge very important for the final
Yes,
act. So I'm
yes.
just like that's going on my card is that we get that bridge fight is the climactic finish.
They didn't try to
I'm
put Camille
definitely-
in the Jace romance slot. Why would they do that? Why?
But do they destroy the bridge, Luke?
I don't, because there's multiple bridges, so there's no point in destroying a bridge.
Yeah. So,
No, for the symbolic nature, Luke.
for the symbolic nature, will they?
Symbolic.
Symbolism.
Well, that's not my territory. That's Crane's. He covers the symbolism. I cover the really really small, minute things like the character's hair and the firelights.
Like
Oh, by the
Timo
way-
in a book.
By the way, I'm surprised a lot of content creators did not pick this up, but the leader of the Firelights is in fact Echo.
Yeah. I think that's pretty self-apparent.
Not just
Or
that,
so-
like so if you look at the outfit, if you remember Echo's outfit from in League, it's
Mhm.
essentially the same outfit. It's
Yeah,
essentially the same.
I wasn't even like I don't even know League. I've never played Echo once in my life, or hardly against him. And even I looked at that character like, oh, he's got a stopwatch, huh? That's probably Echo. Huh?
Yep, yeah, he does.
Mhm.
Oh, and not just that. It took me a while to get this at first, but remember, Silco gave Marcus a Jinx bomb,
Yeah.
and he's just like, "Oh, here's your evidence." I'm like, "Why is he giving the evidence?" I did not realize when I looked closer into it, it had the Firelights logo all over, like obviously planted all over it. But the reason why it didn't strike me because I didn't know that was the Firelights logo. Their Firelights logo is basically this. It's like that. I don't know if I'm drawing it correctly, but it's basically
Hourglass.
an hourglass,
Mhm.
and that hourglass is on Echo's face, like the champion Echo, the one that you play in League.
Mhm.
He has that like literally on his face, like.
And actually,
his face.
speaking of Marcus again, I really enjoyed that. Even though it was very clear in the way they were filming it, like he was thinking about just pulling the pin from the grenade.
Mhm.
I'm glad that we actually got to, even if it was just a fantasy, we got to see him pull the grenade. We saw Silco's reaction. We saw the explosion. Like that's like we knew that's what he was thinking,
Mhm.
but we actually got to see it, and I thought that was like that's not something you really see a lot in shows.
Yeah.
Like you'll have like fantasy segments, but nothing where it's just like we still kind of felt like, oh yeah, no, there's no way Marcus is killing Silco. Like I didn't think that was actually happening, but the fact that we got to see all of that animated and like Silco freaking out and Marcus, it's like I could just do it.
Mm-hmm.
But then he doesn't. Yeah.
I really like that. And what's nice about that, I think that's one of the areas where they put that in also because of pacing, because at that point of the story or at that point of the episode, the pacing was very, very slow.
Yes.
So the fact that they put that was really great. It's like it's convenient, it's good for the pacing. At the same time, it gives you sort of those kinds of like man, he really wants to do it kind of feel.
Mhm.
And
then
then
it kind of like I wouldn't say redeems him more, but makes him just like, well, at least it crossed his mind, so it makes him a little bit more sympathetic. I
Mhm.
feel,
Mhm.
and of course, there's the whole scene where Silco's in his house, playing like building a stack of like little tablets with his daughter. It's like, oh yeah, no, that's always terrifying. Yeah, when your evil crime boss comes in, it's like, oh, your daughter let me in. It's like,
it's really cool. I really, really, really like that. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to mention about the whole Jinx thing was, Haraxman and I talked a little bit about this off stream, but one thing that was really interesting was that Jinx has, well, everyone, But Jinx particularly has a little bit of a redesign in the Arcane version, right? Where she's not wearing sort of like a like those little micro bikini things,
Mhm.
but she's wearing like a full halter, and then she's wearing like capris, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Instead of her shorts. And a lot of people thought that it was more for like censorship, so to speak, because they don't want to show her, they don't want to quote unquote over sexualize her or whatever. I think that's a big
Mhm.
lie. I think Act 2 proves that Arcane doesn't give a fuck about sexualizing anything.
Yeah.
Like they do not care. Like, there was literally a Yordle in a BDSM
Yeah.
like latex outfit walking around, and there was a sex scene. And the most important thing that I've never actually seen, that I wish I kind of didn't, is that we know that Yordles can have boobs.
Mhm.
Quite shocking.
And that they can sag.
The saggy Yordle titties are in
Can't
fact.
forget. We can't forget that the first thing that happened in that sex scene was Jace went down.
Mm-hmm.
A hero for us all.
That's
Mhm.
why I'm just like, oh, she's manipulating him, and then he goes down. I'm like, oh no, he's manipulating her. That's what that shit is.
It's symbolic. It's all symbolic.
Yeah. And 3 of what caught me off guard, showing all the blood, gore, sex. So we're ready for Ari showing up in the next series. They're going to make, oh, what the fuck, oh, Banana Penguin, oh, you horny boy. No, but also this. So in Jinx's new outfit, or I guess canonically older outfit, they definitely showed her with a lot of side boob. She had a lot of side boob
Mhm.
action in that whole show. That's the reason why Kuroi was getting very, 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 very horny. But so I don't think so. My whole point of saying that is that I do not think that the reason why they changed her design ever so slightly is because of hypersexualization or undersexual or hyposexualization, so to speak. Just to mitigate some of the horniness, because that's absolutely not what happened. And there was a lot of I still very much think, I obviously this is not confirmed. Nobody really has the quote unquote confirmed answer whether like Caitlyn and Vi are sort of gay for each other. But at the very least, there's a lot of queer baiting happening. Like at the very least. At the very
Yeah,
least,
yeah.
there's a lot of, because it's very much possible that Caitlyn and Vi are straight or whatever, but they were just, And I know for a lot of people, they're just like, "Oh my god, why is this happening?" It's like, man, do you not watch anime? Like anime is fucking full of queer baiting, like every fucking where.
Mhm.
There's a whole show that's just nothing but queer baiting, which is Free. Isn't Free nothing but queer baiting?
Probably.
Okay, so because I don't really watch it, but I know that I'm like, all these characters are all these guys, all these sexy guys that are always like half naked in these shows, in that anime. They're always a little too close for comfort, but they're never quite there. And then
Yeah.
they eventually have girlfriends and shit. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but
Sure, that's how that was supposed to go.
yeah, no, it's not like Yuri on Ice where like you think it's queer baiting, and then no, they go full out on that.
No bait, just queer.
No, just no bait, just all queer.
Mhm.
Free is definitely queer bait. Yes, exactly. So, I'm not dogging on people who, because first of all, no amount of queer shipping is going to be as toxic as like Clotty Clarith shipping. So it's never going to be that. It's never going to be that toxic. I think us as Final Fantasy fans have the where when everyone's like, man, these shippers are crazy. Where that meme was just like, hey, you new here? Like that's us.
Mhm.
No bait, just Banana Penguin says, "Oh, Ari has an interesting story to tell though. She doesn't know her past and tries to not stop torturing people using her powers and all that stuff. Then there's also the Ruin King news stream today. After months, that game will probably teach us some more when it comes to her journey. Yeah, because I believe Ari is part of that story, because it's her and Yasuo who are like the Ionian representatives in that story, the Ruin King. I'm really excited for that one. First of all, because it's turn-based, and we're making a turn-based game, so I want to see what they bring what they
Mhm.
do different. You know, we're gonna definitely Cranestorm the shit out of that.
Oh yeah, because I've repeatedly said I'm very excited for it because I played Airship Syndicate's previous game, which was Battle Chasers Night War, and from everything that I can tell so far, it's just mechanics like that, but the world of League of Legends. And I loved Battle Chasers. I love the art style. I love the mechanics, and now it's just like, oh, now they're taking systems and putting them in a world I know. I'm like, oh, now I'm even more pumped. And I can't wait to play that game. I am so excited for that. And we know Bilgewater is going to be a big part of that game.
I
So I'm
love
like,
Bilgewater.
yes.
Also,
yes, Bilgewater.
so you know, like for example, like, you were talking about Airship Syndicate, right? And I love them too. And I even downloaded Battle Chasers because it was actually going to be one of the games that I was going to review. Like I was going to test it out, like, you know, like the way I did the Tales series, remember, when I was totally shitting on it. But I wanted to do that. Like, it was on my list. I already downloaded. It's actually installed on my computer. I just have not played it yet because I haven't streamed it. But any company, like, you can tell me like Niantic or something, you know, the ones who made Pokemon Go, I'm so confident that if any of these games have any tie-in with Riot when it comes to League of Legends or any of the League of Legends properties, they're going to be better than what they were before, because I know that Riot would not allow them to create something like janky with their properties. I know for a fact that they will not do that, because first of all, Riot is in a position where their games are solid. Like, all their titles are solid, and it's like, do you want to mess that up? Remember, Blizzard used to be like that. But then they sort of dropped the ball. But, you know, Riot has this amazing opportunity to have like AAA, like S tier quality games of different genres and sizes and scope, and they can absolutely fucking do that. And yes, what's up, Rockfist? What's up, buddy?
Yeah.
I heard something about a new job, Rockfist, but
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he got his radio job.
I've got a question, if that's okay. In Happy Progress Day, the council are talking about the ingenuity of the Undersiders. One of them mentioned Shimmer and body replacements being examples of this. Have we seen body replacements in the series so far, or does that? No. Okay, so first of all, Malicious Mutton, welcome. Secondly, that's a fucking awesome name. It's almost as good as a carnivorous mud skipper, but Malicious Mutton is okay.
Savica. She has
Savika is definitely
Savika.
Savika has body replacements.
Yeah, she has like Chemtech arm.
Yeah, she does have a Chemtech arm. She did lose it, so it's basically yeah, there you go. Tigress is saying it too. Yeah, she has body replacements. However, I do kind of get, if that's not what you mean, if that doesn't answer your question, then I still do. I'm going to expound on your question a little bit, because body replacement and prosthetic are not the same. So if Savika lost her arm in the explosion with that Jinx caused 10 years ago. I'm guessing it's around 10 years ago. I'm estimating it's around 10 years ago. But I do not understand, because when you say sort of body replacements, remember, giving a prosthetic is not a crime, right? In fact, it's sort of a good thing. Body replacements, that's transhumanism. That's you removing your arm to replace it with a Chemtech arm or a Hextech arm of that sort. That's different. That is unethical. That's unethical. So when people are actually lopping off or replacing their perfectly fine body parts for that I think is a crime. And I think that does in fact happen in Zaun. I do think that's actually what's happening in Zaun. By the way, if you notice, in this story, they have not called it Zaun. They call it
they have not.
They either call it they call it the lanes. The lanes are a very specific place. They're the lanes that lead all the way to the drink. It's the streets basically. There's the fissure. The fissure is fissure, Fissure. That's essentially where all the outcasts of the outcasts go. You know, they do call it the underworld, I think, more generally speaking, but they have not called it Zaun, because remember, Zaun, I think they start adopting the name Zaun when Zaun unites. because that was the first time they mentioned it was Silco was like, oh, we've had a dream of the nation of Zon is their dream, and that's essentially like Piltover is called Piltover. The whole place is actually called Piltover. It's just that there's the overworld and then there's the underworld, and I think what is going on, because a lot of people talk about this, other content creators are talking about this too. They're talking about how, oh, like we're finally seeing the birth of Hextech. It's like, yeah, but no one's talking about the birth of Chemtech. Like, that is also what's happening, and that's really fucking important too. So, it's really important, and we haven't seen Green Shimmer yet. Oh no, actually, I think we do. I think it's just the toxins or whatever they're using. But we know that Warwick, unless they're going to change his design, which I don't think they are, he uses Green Shimmer. So Green Shimmer might be a thing. So yeah, I hope that sort of answers your question, Malicious. Oh, I actually Rockfist says I actually wanted to run my VO spots by you sometime soon and see what you thought. Oh yeah, sure, dude. Send it to me and I can tell you what I think. But yeah, no, that's yeah. So Malicious, like, that's a good question too. That's a really good question to think of. It's like, how far have they sort of gone with that? One thing I also another thing I really enjoyed was how I've always sort of been about this, but if you notice that everybody in Zon looks like they're dressed up like Zonites, right? And it's usually, if you notice, they look sort of slummy, and their outfits are usually like a ragtag of things. There's a lot of asymmetry. Like, there's a shoulder pad on this side and another, and we see the same things when it comes to characters like Zack and Cloud, right? Because Zack and Cloud from Final Fantasy VII are pretty much wearing this exact same thing. But then Zack is perfectly symmetrical. If you notice, his outfit is perfectly symmetrical, and Cloud's outfit is a asymmetrical version of Zack's, because he is less stable, so to speak. So, but in this world particularly, not just but you can see it everywhere, in architecture, in outfit, in a lot of things. But Piltover is almost characterized by symmetry, and Zon is characterized by asymmetry. Now, this all boils back to my point with Jinx. So the reason why I think that they made her outfit the way it is for Arcane is not to cover up any boob or anything, because we got a lot of side boob for Jinx. It's not to do any of that. What I think it does is that it pushes it keeps her symmetrical. Now, that could be one of two things. It could, one, be a way to tell us, the audience, that she is in a way still whole, if that makes sense. Like, she's still she's like, she hasn't gone off the deep end. Or two, because we know that her patron, we know that her father, her new father, Silco, is very much about symmetry. Like, which sucks, because he's biologically asymmetrical because of the so he's like
the eye.
So he's so it's almost like and even that is so great, right? He wants to be like Piltover, essentially. He dresses up like a Piltover person. Like, if you look at his outfit, you take his outfit, you put it on an NPC in Piltover, and you'll never see the difference.
Yeah.
He's dressed up very much like that, and I think that's really, really important. Because think of it this way. Everybody in Zon, like, including like Vander and everybody, even the people who are just like, oh yeah, I hate Piltover, blah 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 blah. Silco's the only person who really, really hates Piltover but dresses up like them. Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think? What does that signify to you guys?
Oh, was that a?
No, that was a question to you guys. Yeah.
Okay, I thought that was being rhetorical, because we talked about this last time. Yeah, no, that he wants the power and status of Piltover, but not to be like, he wants to surpass them, but not be one of them. Like, he wants the money and the stature and all that, but like we said last time, he's very envious of Piltover. Yeah. But doesn't want to necessarily be accepted by Piltover, just have what they have.
Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, when people are just like, I'm trying to say this without getting too political, but it's like, you know, when a lot of people say like, oh my god, like I hate it when billionaires do this or billionaires do that, but you know, in reality, it's like they're not, like there are a lot of people who are not necessarily mad that billionaires are doing bad, but it's their kind of way of saying, oh yeah, but if I had all that power, that I would be better. It's like, okay, so it's like, you know, there's a distinction there, by the way. It's like, okay, are you saying because they're abusing their power, like, you know, like, but you're saying that if you had the power, then you could do better. That's essentially like Silco. Silco's like, yeah, you know, like they have everything and we have nothing. So it's like, oh yeah, so you think that things should change. It's like, no, I think I should have everything. It's like, well, there it is, right? Because before, one of the things that was very much different about Zon, or the Undercity, during the time skip, is that all of a sudden you have these people who are really dressed to the nines in right, and those are what we know now as the Chem Barons. So they're basically like the quote unquote the rich people, the noble house, the, you know, the proletariat of Zon.
Yeah.
And while up there they're using Hextech to enrich themselves, down there they're using Chemtech to enrich themselves. So again, it's just another parallel of you know, and okay, so this goes back to my Jinx point, which is the reason why he does that is because he sort of wants to be like them. He just doesn't want them to be in power because he would rather be in power. So it's either that or he's a huge hypocrite. Any of those things work. Now for Jinx, I wanted to ask you guys this question: do you think that, going with my theory, that the reason why they gave her the outfit, because if you notice her outfit is actually pretty symmetrical. Do you think it's because of they're trying to create like this relationship with Silco? Because Silco is, again, very, you know, like, think about it this way: if he dressed up Jinx, you know, like like Jinx would probably wear the little bikini thing, and then he'd be like, no, it's ugly, but it's not like it's ugly because of, you know, it's ugly because it's asymmetrical. I don't want that. Like, give me something symmetrical. Or do you think that it's more of a narrative thing to be like, oh yeah, she's still sort of collected at this point. She hasn't.
Well, I think, as someone who was here who heard your entire conversation and didn't step away to eat, I think that I think the Silco thing is right. I think he probably directed her in the way that she currently dresses.
It could also be both. I mean, you know,
It could be both, because I think while the outfit is for the most part very symmetrical, the rest of her isn't. Like, her hair is very different. Even when with her ponytails, like we saw that one shot of her where she's walking away, and we see her ponytails, and they're both they're lopsided to like her right. They're not like evenly distributed between them. So I think it's like, and she has like her big like anime hair in the front and stuff like that. So I think she's supposed to be like kind of like the middle ground, and she could go either way, but we know like she's gonna lose it. So so while like she's dressed up to kind of be symmetrical, down under, like we know that she has that inner madness and that inner chaos. The disorder is there, and no matter how you dress it up, it's gonna come out eventually.
That's one of the things that I want to use as a bingo thing, or even if we don't use it for bingo, but that's one thing I want all of us to watch. It's a sort of a Crane stream sort of prediction, just so you guys know, is that I think what's going to happen in Act 3 is that as time goes by, she's going to lose more and more of that symmetry. Maybe it's, you know, maybe it's because, you know, she's becoming more and more wacky. Or it could also mean because she is starting to divorce herself from Silco and his ilk. But I think that is, and I think they even did. I think they even hinted to it. So I don't know if you remember in the last fight. I can actually show it, but the last fight that they have in the series, Jinx. Where is it? Here, this one. Play this. What happens in the last episode is that Jinx actually gets cut on the leg.
Yes.
Right, and that, you know, she gets cut on her. She gets cut on her. So I'm just gonna let it play through a little bit so I can find that spot. That full looked like Twitch, by the way. That one, yeah, that
Mhm.
guy looks like Twitch. Okay, where is it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Where is that scene? Yeah, she's laughing.
There was
right
something
there.
interesting while I was rewatching episodes 4 through 6 with a couple of friends of mine. They compared the twitchy glasses wearing guy to Twitch, which is something we didn't.
Oh no.
get.
I didn't tell you guys that, but I did think that too.
Mm,
I did think that
that he becomes Twitch.
that he could become
It's
Twitch.
possible
Yeah,
because
He
they
ha- he
did put a
definitely has
lot
the
of focus
voice.
on him.
he has the
Yeah,
height and the
yeah.
voice. So
Yeah, and the kind of like posture and things like that, and he did sort of like
sound the part.
yeah, and like skitter away. Um,
Yeah, no.
but it was
Oh, there it is.
also the way I interpreted like her getting cut on the leg
Mm-hmm.
right there. But is that because at the end everything's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like that smoke screen happens and everything's gone. And I think that's kind of like that's going to clue Jinx in on that she didn't just imagine everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what that's meant for. Is like, oh, I got hurt. That fight happened, even though there's no evidence of it happening at all.
Yeah, I think that's true too. But I also think that what are you gonna do with that cut on your clothing? Because it's a pretty substantial cut to the clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because this might become like the birth of her. Because remember her actual outfit. If you look at this, her pants right now, the pants that she has right now,
Mhm.
they look nothing like her shorts in her actual splash art,
Mhm.
in her actual
Yeah, yeah,
playable design. But these pants do look it does look like one of these is it even right to call it a stocking? But
It's a stocking,
it's one
yeah,
of the stockings of one of her legs because she's
Mhm.
asymmetrical that way. So I think she rips this part out and keeps the other, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think
Or
it's
because,
becoming the start of her whole
Yeah,
ensemble.
I think yeah, because what I think is actually happening, because I'm looking at both her regular art and her arcane art, is that yeah, these pants are just going to get torn and kind of become her hot pants,
Mhm.
and then she has like the stocking and the asymmetry going on.
Yeah,
So
I think
yeah.
I do think that the pants will turn into the stocking because they're the same
Mhm.
design. They have the same stripes. But I do think that but her shorts look nothing like this.
It's actually, I just looked into it. It's actually the reverse. The pants.
Yeah, I
or
heard that the
shorts have
pants match the
stripes.
shorts and the stocking.
Oh, the
is
pants
very
match the
different.
short. Okay, there it is then.
Yep.
Oh, then it still works the same way because that just means that she like starts to rip them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. But no, okay, so look at her outfit right. Oh, no. Need to go back. Oh, that full look. Okay, so this guy looks. Oh, and by the way, we've seen this mask. By the way, we've seen this mask.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, remember when Echo was spying in on Benzo in the first episode? Remember
It was on the wall.
It was on the wall, and then the eye was pretty much this eye, right there.
Mhm.
It's pretty much that eye. So, that could most definitely be a thing.
Yeah.
Rockfist is like, I still want to do an Echo S in character session of Among Us. Every time
madness.
we do this kind of like, oh, Echo S does like live whatever, it always sucks for me because they're just like, okay, you now do Cloud, now do Barrett, and I'm like, fuck, just I don't want to do both like at the same time. Yes, Haraxment, I saw that you are ruminating on something.
This isn't really something that all that deep, but there's one quote in particular that I thought about twice.
Mm.
And it's at the it's at the performance of assumably Jin.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman says the assistant of Medarda
Mm-hmm.
says he's been quite the investment, right? And we all assume, and they probably are just talking about Jace, but what if they're not talking about Jace?
Mm.
What if they're talking about literally Jin in this one quote?
Mm.
What if Jin's quite the investment?
Could be. Zora's like, Noctis. Give us your Noctis, Crane.
But then, it goes into him shaking Counselor's hand. So it's probably just about Jace. But what if?
Yeah. What if it's about Jin?
That's on Disney Plus. That's not on Netflix.
Yeah.
Different show.
I'd love to talk voiceover.
What if they invested in Jin instead, and they're getting Jin to take out specific targets?
Well,
This is my stretch of the day.
That might be that. That's still sort of plausible. I don't think I don't think they would do that just because, there really isn't a payoff,
Mhm.
and I think it's kind of important. Like what the show has done consistently is give us like payouts for a lot of the things that are set up. So if something doesn't feel set up, then it doesn't. Like that's why like all of this thing, like the screen is stuck on this. I think that all of this is the payout to Echo. All of it is just the payout to Echo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, some of the like I'm surprised because a lot of the content creators really didn't like figure out that this is Echo.
Really?
Yeah,
That seems kind of obvious.
yeah, that's what I thought too. Like down to his weapon, down to the stopwatch.
Because he wasn't seen or mentioned at all in the second 3 episodes.
It's almost like they want you to forget.
Yeah, they want you to forget, and it's like,
And when they,
I mean, he's the last like named character that didn't get an update.
Yep.
Like,
that's what I'm thinking too. I think
Even Singed had an update, and is
even
probably gonna be more
Singe got
important.
updated. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that the moment it's like if they're keeping hush hush about a character, then that means that character is like right under our noses. That's usually how this is working. And I think they're smart enough to do that stuff too. Like I really do. Like obviously, look at how fucking brilliant the show is. Like they're smart enough to really really make that happen. So, yeah. And Rockfist, yes, most definitely, bro. Most definitely. Speaking of, no, well, that's not side boob, it's under boob. But yes, you guys did that. I'm going to see if I can implement this next week, but I think on my next stream on Monday, because I think I'm going to stream on Mondays, but it's not going to be a crane freeze. Although with everything we've talked about today, I feel like I do want to post this for some reason.
We've talked a lot.
We talked a lot about some stuff, and I feel like I feel like I wanted to be on the internet just to prove that we thought about it like this early, right? Also, people seem to like the setup. Do you like the way the layout looks?
Oh yeah, no, I very much enjoy it.
Yeah,
very much so.
Yeah, this is my layout when I'm just, I'm probably editing or I'm doing some voice acting or whatever. But this is what my setup is gonna be. You can't see the whole room, but I do get to be a triple triad card, or we get to be a triple triad card, the same one.
Yeah. We are the triple triad.
We are. Yes, we are the triple to the triad. Or we had the triad in the trip. Yes, you get it. Oh, but
until we get good boy Farron back, and then we fully reform as the UI guys.
No, and then we turn into Tetramaster.
Fair point. Fair point.
A lot of people.
You'll have to update the graphics.
Yeah. You know what's funny? A lot of people. This is one thing I found funny when I came here. There's a lot of people here in the States that don't know that Tetra is 4.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of people think it's still 3. It's like, oh, it must be another Latin for 3. I'm like, no, it's 4. But okay. Yeah. That's sort of the funny part of it. But yeah.
Well, listen, American schooling ain't great. The amount of times I was so frustrated in high school, we had to do like class reading and no one knew how to fucking read, drove me insane. America does not have the greatest schooling systems.
Yeah, yeah. Your private schools are good, but your public schools are not.
Oh yeah. No, I was poor, so public school.
Yeah. Well, most people are, like public schools look very nice. Honestly, like when I came here and I saw public schools, I'm just like, this is a public school. It looks better than private schools in the Philippines. What the fuck? But then I started working with them, and I'm just like, oh, but the education sucks. Okay, got it.
Well, yeah, education is not great.
That's where it falters. Gotcha. But no, that's most definitely that's why I think I might just upload this just as like just a blanket upload. For those of you who are in chat, please help us out if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel. Like
what should we call this? Is this like a crane chill instead of a crane freeze?
this is still this is technically a crane storm. Technically,
a crane storm.
This is technically
Fair. It has far more focus. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we're really focusing on Arcane. So and you weren't here because you were tardy.
I was tardy. It was beyond my control, but I was tardy.
But I did play, instead of the normal intro, the Crane Freeze intro, I did play the Crane Storm intro, which is basically just Sue like telling everybody in podium fashion that I
haven't seen that yet. I'll have
to not be dicks.
Watch the VOD.
Yep.
Check it out.
It's it's very short. It's very small. It's equivalent to like like when we introduce Sue. It's just like that. But she pretty much says like, okay, this is crane storming. Please be respectful. Do this, do that. Like, it's pretty much that. There's just so much to behold right now when it comes to this. I do think that it's my hot take on the whole Milo thing. I still think that I think that theory still has legs. I
don't think that, thinking about it, I don't think it's a hot take. I think it's just an informed take. I think you're taking what the show has given us and be like, yeah, Glagor's kind of like Proto Vi and Milo is Proto Jinx.
Yeah. I think you see it too. Like, think about it. Oh yeah, there we go. That was also one of the points that I wanted to elaborate on, was that, remember how I told you that there's this thing where Silco, the character of Silco, who is again another parallel to Jinx, right? Because Silco is to Vander what like Jinx is to Vi, right?
Vi, yeah.
And and then they have this thing where they're just making parallels all over again, or there's like this cycle, like everyone is sort of essentially making the same mistakes. They're all making the same power moves. And with Silco dresses up like a Piltover because he essentially hates Piltovers, but therefore he emulates them, right? I think that is the same for Jinx. I think that because Jinx's first bully is Milo. And because of that, in many ways, she, in the same way that Silco sort of becomes kind of remember how he's like, oh yeah, I hate Vander. He's a lapdog. He's doing this, right? He essentially becomes like the new Vander. And then how he hates Piltover, like the people from Piltover, but he essentially tries to become like them, or acts like them, or dresses like them, or something like that. I think that's what's happening with Jinx as well. Like Jinx like hates Milo, and and Milo is like his nayrsayer, right? Naysayer, and he's also pretty much her first bully.
And also another thing we have not brought up in its entirety is that in Jinx's like kind of like room, she has like this hodgepodge Pinocchio Milo on there to just sort of
just sit around.
I guess, yeah, just kind of either like she beats it up, or it's kind of like as like a self-motivating thing for her, where it's just like, or it's a replacement to kind of prove to herself. It's like, yeah, no, they're still here.
Yeah, and
as we saw several times in the episode, where we see like the corpses of Milo and Claggor connected to Jinx.
Yep. But I think that those things are a little bit different in the sense that because she also has Claggor. She has Claggor.
I miss Claggor.
She has Claggor's,
I did miss Claggor.
Goggles.
Okay, I did miss those.
Yeah. He's very small. He's like a little doll that's like hanging from the roof, but has the goggles. So that's how
Which
you know
is funny, because he was the biggest. He was the biggest one,
and then he's the smallest. Yeah, but she really put effort into making Milo.
Yeah, she put a lot of effort into making
Milo. And not just that. Remember the very first time we actually I can just not talk about it, and I can actually just show
absolutely Yozora. Yeah, she absolutely hears their voices in her head.
Yeah. And Jinx, the first time, like, she's sort of like in her room. Where is it? Like the first time she's sort of in her room.
Hey,
Yeah.
Guys, I gotta go. But
Oh.
you guys can finish up, right?
Yeah, we'll be
Yeah.
good.
All right. I'll be
Thanks for coming around,
lurking
man.
still.
All right.
Alrighty. You have yourself a good night.
Good night, Harax. Thanks for being here, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, of course. Always a good time.
All right, so there's this moment here. I'm not trying to show the whole damn thing. Don't worry, I have a. There we go. See, you're still good.
Hey.
Where's that Jinx moment? Okay, so I'm looking for that Jinx moment. Okay, so here. The first sort of like, okay, so you're watching this right now. Look, bam, it's Milo. It's Milo who is seen.
Mm-hmm.
You saw that, right? Because I know you're just catching up because of the
No, that I saw, yeah.
See that? Like it's not anybody else. It's not Vi. It's not, because
No,
she thinks
it's Milo,
she thinks
yeah.
Vi's dead. But but it's Milo specifically that's there.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So I really do think that my theory, even though I don't think anybody has talked about it or it's I feel like very few people really think about this, but I do think that my theory has some legs.
I think so.
I think this one is really damning though. This thing when she goes with the I'm gonna shoot down the airship thing, because even in the trailers, remember they have that shot where Jinx is sort of like laying down on something and then she like looks up and she goes pow. Remember that? And she does the finger the hand gun, the finger gun gesture. And the first time we ever see that in the entire show is Milo. And Milo is the thing. And oh, what's my theory? My theory is that Milo's character is sort of the proto Jinx. Like he's the precursor to Jinx. That Jinx's attitude, like the way that she acts and a lot of the things that she says and a lot of that are sort of modeled after Milo. That's my theory. My theory is that Milo that is Milo's pretty much role in the story. Like, why is there a Milo at all? I think the reason why there's a Milo at all is so that Jinx.
Time to hydrate.
Oh, Pirate's back. Hey, what's up? Is that Milo is like she like again, like I said, models her behavior off of Milo. Which I think, like, again, it's apt. Remember, again, just to repeat, one of the first things that Jinx ever says is like while she's looking at those like airships, she goes, like, one day I'm gonna ride one of those, and then Milo immediately goes, and one day I'm gonna shoot one down, and he does this, and he goes pow. And the moment I saw that, I'm just like, wait, that's Jinx. Like, Jinx acts that way. And ever since then, I watched the first 3 episodes with that in mind. And the more I saw it, the more I thought about it, and the more I was like observing it, the more it seems like that. The way that Jinx like sits down on the chair and sits down on the sofa, like that's also the way that Milo does it too. Like he sits down on the sofa sort of the same way. And like I don't think I'm going crazy. Like like trying to make those comparisons, but it does seem to be like that is the case. Like, remember when they started shooting? It's so funny too, because remember how earlier you were talking about like, oh yeah, their fighting style or whatever. In the arcade when they get busted in with by the enforcers, when Milo fights them, the first thing he does is shoot them with the fake gun, right?
Yeah.
And then and the only way that he gets off is like he starts kicking them. And Jinx obviously took that too. Like I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it too much. Maybe
I don't think so. I think the show is telling us that.
Yeah,
so.
I feel like the show would allow us to theorize or to look at things at that level of analysis because everything they're doing is so fucking intentional. So I really do think that's one of my hot like theories of the series, is that I do think that Milo is sort of the person that she's emulating.
I will say, if we get no Blitzcrank, 0 out of 10. Series is garbage.
True. That is definitely fair. Most definitely fair.
Doesn't matter how... Oh, what happened to me? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, come on. If you're not going to put in Blitzcrank, what's the point?
Yeah. Why say why say crank it and
Mhm.
not actually bring him to life? I think Blitzcrank will be his first creation.
Uh-huh. Do you think that'll be like a stinger? Like maybe not the last shot, but like his last scene. You think it's like, all right, I've made my body better. Now it's time to see how far I can go. And it's like
No, I think it's the opposite.
maybe blueprint. Mm.
I
Oh,
think
you
that
think
I
the
think he'll
the
create.
Blitzcrank is the prototype, and
Yes,
then
I don't think, but
Oh,
I don't.
okay.
I don't think that we'll see Blitzcrank in like his full glory. But remember,
No.
one of the things that when they showed Heimerdinger the the hex core, he said like, oh, it's a machine that learns.
Mhm.
Sorry, it's magic that learns. It's technology that learns. So it's and a lot of people are thinking like, oh, AI. But if you think AI, then
Yeah.
you got to be thinking, yo, Blitzcrank.
Magic AI, yeah, that's
Yeah,
gotta be
so
Blitzcrank.
I think
What else would it be? Yeah.
so I definitely think that it's more of a Blitzcrank. He's going to create like the first, um, like the first form or the prototype of Blitzcrank, and
Mhm.
then from there he will turn into the Victor that we know.
Mm.
I do believe that. I also like. I know it's funny we're talking about this when Harax is gone, but I also like how they're treating Singed in this.
I like that we got a couple scenes with him where it's just like, oh no, he's always been a creepy fuck. Good to know.
Hmm. But they also sort of make him a lot deeper
Mhm.
than like what we sort of got previously.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's what and that's very fun. Like that's very fun to have. Yeah, and Yozora, good choice.
Good
Of
good
outfit.
choice.
Good choice. That will be it's okay. So this is for the stream, by the way. But I did mention that next week I'm going to try my best to implement the Sue affection points. So you're gonna have like a little
Mhm.
mini game here. I don't. I'm still thinking of what the reward would be, but let's see if you guys can hit max affection with
Obviously, Chat
Sue.
gets go on a date with Sue. I feel like right,
Well, I mean, if
or you have to show up to stream in Sue cosplay.
I don't
Right,
know.
Chat? Right,
No,
right. Let's
no.
get back on that cosplay train.
No.
Get him in a Sue cosplay.
No. But
Tigers will help.
I was trying to. I know she will. I was trying to put up like a bar, like a meter, but I feel like I want it to be a little bit more hidden than that. So what's gonna happen is
Mhm.
that every time you guys pick an outfit. Oh, I missed that one.
Ha 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 ha.
There we go. We even did it in tandem.
We did.
So what's going to happen is that every now and then when you do something good, when chat does something good or something bad or whatever, there will be like things that raises her affection or lowers her affection. What will happen is that you will hear her say it. Like, it's not an animation that's gonna happen, but you'll hear her say it. So it's something like along the lines of, so if you pick her, like if you give her an outfit that she doesn't want to wear that day, if you give her an outfit that she doesn't want to wear that day, then she's gonna say like, really? Like seriously, guys? Something like that, and that sort of indicates to you that you lost a bit of points with her.
Ooh. It's gonna be on you, Chat.
Yeah, it's going to. And I think that's a fun game. I think that's a fun game. Like so people will think twice about just like turning her into a blitzball the whole time.
No, I won't.
Yeah, definitely changing her outfit periodically will increase her affection.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely chatting a lot. Like if you do hype trains and stuff, obviously it'll increase her affection. But yeah, but there's a point where she can reach maximum affection. And I can tell you what her affection points are at the end of the day. But yeah, because I don't have a way for it to show. Like I don't have a way for it to like just show up automatically. So like yeah, I mean I can look at the points and then type them, but that would be too tedious. But yeah, so that's gonna be like a cool little mini game of the stream. I think that's kind of cute. What do you think? I think that's kind of.
Oh yeah, no, I think that'll be fun. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yep. Okay. Cool. And yeah, and I think that'll be fun. And again, you guys will be able to hear what she says. And I think what I might be able to do is have Sue respond in chat, like on her Twitch account. You, sire, are ambitious. Yes, I am. I'm very ambitious. I'm Jace. No, I'm kidding. But no, okay. So yeah. So I mean, sort of to wrap kind of the things up, like I definitely think, like, my opinion. So you guys know some of my theories, but I definitely do think that season 2, or sorry, not season 2, Act 2 is a lot better than Act 1. Act 1 feels better because it's a full story. It has like it's a full structure. It has a conclusion in and of itself. So it feels really full. And Act 2 doesn't feel that way because a lot of it is sort of set up, and there's like really no denouement like to it, right? There's no conclusion. Everything is just stuck on this cliffhanger because the first season, like episode 3, I don't think was a cliffhanger. Like, it's not a cliffhanger. It's a
no 3. I didn't even count episode 6 as a cliffhanger. Honestly, I mean you could, but I'm like that's like, especially for our bingo card where cliffhanger was a box. I'm like, I didn't fill that in. I'm like that. Mm-hmm. No, that's just the fight ended and everyone's gone. That's not a cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. We know there's more.
Yeah, so. And I'm not even saying that. Like, out of the two, like Act 1 really does feel like a full story. However, what they're trying to accomplish with Act 1 is actually a lot simpler than what they're trying to accomplish with Act 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because Act 2 has sort of the unfortunate technicality of not being an ender of anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that always feels bad. That's why, like it's like middle child syndrome or some shit. But the first one is definitely easy. And the way what they did with Act 1 is that they made it so that it had a close. Like, it had a close, but then it had more of a, well, what happens next kind of a question.
Yeah.
And that, I think, in good storytelling is not really about getting people to really like a story. It's more about getting people to really ask the question of like, oh, then what happened next? And then getting a good payout in sort of the end of that. And that's definitely a thing. Now, because I'm going to end up stream, this is not going to be Ahmed said, I'd definitely be interested to see if it all falls into the part 2 curse where people skip through it on rewatches to get to part 3.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay, good.
No, I think the quality is too high for it to be like considered as like skippable material. I said, like, and I'm still in the boat that Act 1 is better than 2. Hang on, I need to not lean anymore. I keep going out of frame. But like, I don't feel like Act 3 is going to be really like its own thing. I think Act 3 is really only going to work with Act 2.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they kind of give us a break point, but it's like there's a lot that happened in 4, 5, and 6, and it's just, you can't just like, and it's all quality stuff too. So it's not something that can just be lost and you move on to the finale. You could, but you're losing a whole lot of stuff. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna be like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna rewatch it, but I'm gonna skip this chunk because
it's way too good. Honestly, like, I think I was trying to make that point that season. Fuck, I need to stop saying that. Act 2 is just Act 2 is so. It's far more ambitious with the kind of story it's telling, and I think that's one of the reasons why, like, Act 1 feels better, and it feels, because it's just everything that you can check out, it checks out. Like, oh, there's a lot of things that are very satisfying about Act 1, but the story that Act 2 is telling is a lot more difficult than the story that Act 1 is telling.
Yeah,
it's a much bigger beast. And they're much more ambitious. They're doing a lot more complex things. They're taking a lot of the foretelling and the foreshadowing to like much farther lengths. The scale is so much bigger. Like, the stories, even the number of stories that they're trying to tell in Act 2 is just so big. It's just so much. that's happening. The world in and of itself is in a spot where everything is so volatile. It's not like in Act 1 where you're going from something like order to chaos. That's not what it is. In Act 2, it's just nothing but chaos. Nothing but that. And you're trying to introduce characters in the middle of all of that chaos. That's not normally how you do things. I mean, if you look at the three acts structure. That's funny. This thing has 3 acts. But if you look at the 3 acts of storytelling, right, where you have sort of like the first act and then the second act and then the third act. The third act is where you have the conclusion. The second act is where you have like the climax and the rising action. And the first act is normally places with like exposition and conflict, right, where they introduce a conflict or all of those things. With Act 1 of Arcane, it's easy to follow that, right? And usually when you are trying to introduce a lot of characters, you have all of Act 1, like exposition to do so. But Act 2, if you look at Act 2 as its own story structure, right? Because, like its own collection of stories, its own sort of a bracket of the story. Act 2, like, it's introducing all of these characters sort of like in the rising action or the climax of everything that is happening. That's in terms of, even just in terms of writing, that's a task, man. Like, it's so easy to fuck that up. I mean, look at Star Wars. Like, I know we've been shitting on Star Wars, like episodes 7, 8, and 9, but like Star Wars is a much easier story to tell, but they can fuck that up too. It's honestly, it's a much easier story to tell. Like, Arcane is actually it's like the complexity of Arcane is not just in their delivery of their story, right? But the complexity and the sheer scale of everything that they're trying to do with the story. Like, that's also one of the reasons why, like, it's very smart of them to create parallels. Parallels in Jace, parallels in Silco, parallels in Vi, parallels in Jinx. Like, all of these parallels that are happening at the same time only helps each individual story because it doesn't feel like they're individual stories. Like, the story of Jinx and the story of Jace is kind of, they feel like they're in tandem with each other, even though the characters are not. Even though there's very little relationship in terms of the plot with Jace and Jinx. They're almost separated by many degrees of event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, obviously Jinx has some hand in what's going on, and Jace is affecting them, but they're pretty much on very different degrees and very different, like, layers and obstacles that stand between them being directly connected. But their story, their narrative is the same. Their narrative is like bloop, like a glove, like it's perfect. I'm with you on that, where it's like, oh yeah, are they going to like skip like 2? Like, I don't know. In fact, my worry is that, it's actually my hope that Act 2 is the weakest act of the 3. That is my worry. That is actually easier for me and for everybody who's watching if Act 2 is sort of the weakest of the 3. Because Act 2 is actually brilliant. But if Act 3 is less than Act 2, then that might be a problem.
Yeah.
That might hurt the series a whole lot. But at the same time, I'm very confident that is not going to be the case.
Yeah.
It's just,
they've done a whole lot in getting us really invested in these characters that had very little beforehand. And even the new characters are really, really easy to get invested in. So I think they'll pull it off.
No, and not just that.
I think the plucky little company can pull it off.
No, they're gonna blow it out of the water. Why? Because at this point, like, with what we have right now, the third act, it's not even a question of writing anymore. It's not a question of writing. There's too much real estate that they've created in Act 2. Too much real estate. So even if any of that can go, because sometimes the problem is when there's a lot of stories that don't have what I call real estate, and I call it real estate meaning like there's just not a lot of land to plant anything in. Then your conclusion of the story will drive the story home. will drive the story. It will be the indicator whether the story is good or whether the story is bad, right? But with this,
Right.
it doesn't seem to be the case because there's too much real estate that you can pick. Like if Riot picks literally any of the many conclusions, it would work because they're all interesting. They're all interesting. Like they can go many different ways, and that's why sometimes when people say like, oh, like spoiler this, spoiler that, there are some shows that where spoilers hurt more than others.
Yeah.
There are some shows where some spoilers hurt more than others, and it's not because it's not about like it's not about how you get there. It's about what ends up happening.
Mm-hmm.
Not the how you get there. Like that's why what I know this sounds really like way off the mark, but rom-coms are usually good at this. Why? Because we, for the most part, when we watch romantic comedies, we know how they're going to turn out.
Yeah.
But but us knowing how it turns out doesn't really affect like how enjoyable it is.
Yeah.
Because it's actually how you get there that is
It's
the
how you
most
get
fun.
there, yeah.
That is the most fun in rom-coms. It's not the end. It's that's what that is. That's why when the How I Met Your Mother, that's kind of groundbreaking in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
The How I Met Your Mother, that's pretty groundbreaking, right? But if you have shows that are mostly about plot, like The Walking Dead, it's not too like that's why a lot it's one of those kinds of shows that when you watch The Walking Dead, you care about like what happened next? What happened next? What is this? What is the conclusion? That's what you care about. You're there. It's not that maybe you guys will argue with me, or I want to hear your opinion on this, Luke and the chat. But when it comes to shows like The Walking Dead, once you sort of know what the outcome is, there's very little reason to rewatch the show. There's very little reason to rewatch the telenovelas, like like those dramas, TV dramas. They're like that. It's not about watching what's happening. It's about the fun is not in the how you get there. The fun is on what's going on. That is why every episode has to be a cliffhanger. Because they need they need you to be invested in the end.
Yeah, a show that I was very much like that, where it was like one and done, did not need to watch it again after that, was Death Note. Death Note was very much like that for me, where it's just like, we don't know how it ends. We do want to see the next part and kind of how the mystery unfolds and how these different characters plot against each other. But after it was done, I'm like, I don't ever need to see this again. Like I've seen it once, I've seen it play out, and it didn't have any rewatchability for me. And I think that's not necessarily a bad thing about the show, but it's something that I took away from it, where it's just like, I'm good. That was it.
Well, yeah, and with this show particularly, it kind of has to be like the journey definitely has to be good. Because in the nature of this series, we know how these characters turn out anyways. Like we knew we knew how these characters turned out from the very beginning. So it was all about making the journey good. It was all about making the journey good. It's all about being able to surprise us with how Victor turns into, glorious evolution Victor, or how Jace turns out to be that way, or how Vi turns out to be, or how Jinx turns out to be that way. That is really the brilliance of this. And again, that's also why, the way that they're making Jinx's story is so great is because it's not a typical like Joker, Harley Quinn origin story, which I don't like those because I do think those tend to suck. A lot of the times when DC or Marvel tend to do that with characters like that, like the Joker or Harley, to me, I could be wrong, but to me, they tend to only it does not lend itself to the greatness of the character. It if anything, it dampens how good the character is. Knowing the Joker's origin, like in any way, sort of making him that relatable or whatever, to me it flies in the face of what the Joker is truly about, like what he truly represents. So that's why the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, like it's a really good film as a film. His acting is really great, but as the character Joker, it's horrible to me. All he does is make Joker weak.
Yeah.
All he does is make Joker weak. It's like, oh, yeah, now I understand him. It's like, so what? The whole, like, some characters are meant to not be understood.
Yeah, who would hate being understood?
Hmm.
Joker.
Exactly.
Joker would hate that. He doesn't want you to understand him.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Hey, Heroic is here. What's up, man? But
Hey,
yeah,
Ron.
and that's why, like, you know, and I think that Jinx's story, the way that they're tackling her, far better than you know, I was afraid. Like, oh my god, this is gonna be like a Harley Quinn-esque Joker origin story, and they're just gonna make her. They're gonna try to so hard to make her relatable and this and that and this and that. But it's really not that. It's really not that at all. It's really not. Like, she's coming. If anything, she's become even more interesting of a character. Victor is much more interesting as a character.
Victor's much more interesting.
Is-
I was actually just looking at all their pages while we've been talking about it. I'm like, Victor's actually very neglected when it comes to League
Lore.
of Legends. He's got like, he's got like 4 skins, a couple in the vaults, and it's just like, I'm kind of impressed that these are the characters they decided to launch the series with. Like, it's
yeah, no, okay. so
like they're
that's a
not
great point.
headliners
That's a great point.
for League of Legends.
Like Jinx would be like the obvious one, right? But
Yeah.
but that's also the point. It's like, man, they're really like it's like they don't really care if the characters are that popular. It's like
Yeah.
it's the story itself. And remember, what's going on in the story of Arcane is not just a character story; it's a world story. Like, as big as and it's so great that they're able to sort of do those things at the same time, because Final Fantasy VII to me feels like the opposite. It's like, oh my god, everything that's happening in the remake, it's like, it's so mind-blowing for the world, but it's mind-numbing for the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't make the characters feel any better, but it makes the world feel much more interesting. But you know,
Yeah.
like, and that's
I would agree.
yeah, and you know, and Arcane is sort of doing God's work in the sense that they're able to do both, literally in the same sitting, and that is like, that is insane. That is absolutely insane. I'm always gonna push this point when it comes to Arcane, because, like, again, it's just one of those things that now the world, it looks different to me now.
Mhm.
Like I told you, like, I was sitting here and I was trying to watch anime, like, because sometimes I just put it on, like, as background noise, or just for me to watch, or just for me to, you know, see something new. And I did that, and I'm just like, this is total shit. Like, I cannot watch anything anymore because I'm always having this Arcane level of artistry that I'm expecting. I have this Arcane level of expectation, and nothing can make me happy about it. Like I told you before, Beastars was one of the shows on Netflix that I really fucking enjoyed. And Arcane is just sort of blowing that shit out of the water. I still do think that Beastars has superior music, but you know, but they're sort of not the same beast, right?
Right. Or
and-
Star.
Or Stark, they're not. Yeah. I'm glad you picked that up, sir. You just need me. You're still sharp as always. But yeah,
I
guys,
try.
that's pretty much the end of it. I you know, we hit 8:20, in fact. So I will be streaming tomorrow. I'm going to tell you this now. I will be streaming tomorrow, but I will it's a little weird, but I'm going to be streaming the game that I am in. One of the games that I'm in.
I'm gonna be a blitzball when I grow up.
Of course you did that, Heroic. But I will be playing. It's called Eternal Fate. I'll be playing that game, and the creator is going to be watching me. He's a nice guy. I don't know if it's a good idea to make me of all people play your games, because I'm going to try. No, I'm telling you guys right now. I'm going to try to be as charitable as possible because I'm in it. I think it's sort of bad if I get hired for something and then I stream it and then I shit on it. Yeah, but at the same time, I'm also Crane, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm. Yes.
Do you know when you'll be streaming tomorrow?
It's both of it's happening at the same time.
Duh!
When am I streaming tomorrow? Probably around the same time. like 5 p.m.
Okay.
So because I know you.
Have you tried the
I
expanded
know that you
free
stream.
I will be
critically
starting
acclaimed
before you
MMORPG
and streaming
Final
long
Fantasy
after you're done.
14?
Oh, okay.
Play through the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heaven's
So I will
Wings
have to
expansion
miss
up
it,
level
but I will
60 for free
definitely
with no restrictions on playtime.
skim through the VOD to catch some highlights.
Okay, yeah. So it's gonna be interesting. I know that. Yeah. So that's gonna be a thing. So again, guys, thank you guys so much. We don't really have like a special ending or anything like that. Do we have somebody who we can raid?
Our boy Farron's still streaming.
Our boy Fair in the stream. I raided him the other time though, the last time. So
Fair.
we'll raid Jan. We'll raid Jan.
Oh, Jan's streaming. Oh, I'm not following Jan.
Yeah, you should
I'll
follow Jan.
follow
Jan
her
Jan's
once
one of
we
my.
raid her.
She's one of my favorite voice actresses like on the planet. So, So yeah, let's go raid her.
Absolutely.
Please stay and watch her even just a little bit. Just say hi and stuff, right, guys? So, yeah, this is Crane and this is Luke right here,
Hey, everybody.
and we are going to be signing out really soon. Hopefully, this is what it is. Yep, that's what it is. We are going to do that. So, thank you guys again for all of this. I will see you guys tomorrow. We will be playing Eternal Fate. So, thank you guys for joining us on this arcane journey. We're still gonna have bingo and all of that cool stuff. And Wednesday is an official Crane Freeze episode. So, pay close attention to that. We are going to be talking more and more about Final Fantasy 14 because that shit is coming up. So, yeah.
Oh, we're getting very close.
Very close. All right, guys. So thank you guys so much. Bye.
That's all the time we
Good
have
night,
for
everybody.
today. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with us. We hope to catch you in the next stream.